Good morning, everybody. Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. Great to be here with you on a Friday, as it were. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Ryle, the executive producer. Good morning, Paulie.
Good morning.
Benjamin Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor, joins us as well. Good morning to you, Benjamin.
It is Friday.
It is Friday. A little gloomy outside. I always feel bad. My parents got here yesterday from Texas, along with my brother Brent, his wife Tessa, and my nephews Oliver and Owen. And you want to show off when somebody comes to San Diego, and we are also in the middle of June gloom, and it happens from time to time. And they got there yesterday, but listen, I mean, it's still better than where they live. I mean, it's not even close. My brother lives in Austin. Austin's a pretty cool town, but it ain't here, at the end of the day. So got to go see the family yesterday. It was awesome. Watching my boys play with my brother's boys, who are 12 and 9. It's just special. It's a really special thing. Watching them play football and stuff together, it was awesome. So they're in town. Did a little dinner last night. Didn't tell you who I ran into. So we went to... Don't judge me, Benny.
Trust. Don't worry.
Don't judge me.
Don't worry.
I'm going to no matter what.
He's going to. All right. So you know where my parents are from? From Texas. You know what kind of food they like? They like Tex-Mex. So we went to Casa di Bandini.
All right.
Which is good enough. It's fine. You go in, there's a seat for you, and it's pretty loose and laid back. There's room for the kids. Anytime you're taking 4 kids to a restaurant, you're like, got to make sure you can't go to fancy dinners.
I'll give you a pass.
Thank you, buddy.
It's very close to your house.
It's very close to my house and very close to where they're staying. So it's like perfect. Thank you. I stayed up all night worrying about your judgment. I almost just didn't tell you.
It's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, yeah, if you were going for the most authentic tacos, it's not the place, but
I get it.
Big group, people from out of town, festive, I give you a pass.
Yeah, it's easy peasy.
Yeah.
So there's down in this shopping center, they have this really cool play structure for kids. Really cool. It looks like Pringles that you can get on them and climb all the way up this big tower, but there's a net around it so the kids feel safe, but it's really cool. They love it. So I take them down there. They're climbing on it. I look over and go, I know that guy. It's Nick Hundley, our beloved Nick Hundley. And I go, what are you doing? And he goes, I'm just watching my girls play. He's like, how you doing? I'm like, bro, I'm doing great. Man, we sat and chopped it up for 20 minutes talking about, he's with the Texas Rangers organization. I go, so how's everything going? He goes, it's great. Are you kidding? He goes, should have brought my ring so I could show you. I'm like, you son of a bitch, really? Really? He was in fantasy camp with us. Couldn't have been a better human being.
2 years
2
ago.
years ago.
He was awesome.
The greatest guy I've ever met. He was telling me stories, some of which I can't repeat, and asking me about, radio rumors and things like that. The dude is... So I said...
We weren't on his teim. We played against him. Him and Brett Boone were the managers of that team. It was a blast.
And so he's such a good dude, and he was, he was just telling me oh man, things are good, and it's such a good, well-run organization. CY is the best. Boach is the best. It's like. Just their gritted teeth, just awesome, man.
By the way,
cool.
They have the exact same record as the Padres, 2 games under 500 right now.
They're also sitting on a World Series ring.
Yeah, would that make a difference? Would you be okay with?
Are you? I'd be drunk still. I'd be drunk every day. Are you kidding me? Of course it would make a difference. Of course it would.
I mean, that's the funny thing about how big of a difference it makes. Oh. They're not off to a good start, not having a great season.
No.
But things feel fine because they had a good one last year.
100,000 billion million
Hey,
percent.
that's in the past.
Doesn't matter.
That's in the past.
Flags fly forever.
You can't live on past accomplishments.
Flags fly forever.
I was gonna say, watch me.
Watch me. Yeah, watch me. I'll be drunk for a year after the Padres win a World Series. But it was awesome to see him, man, and telling some baseball stories. So I said, dude, you'll come on sometime. He goes, anytime you guys want me to come on, all you got to do is let me know. I said, bro, it is a done deal. So really nice to see him, and just a cool guy, man. Cool guy. And was telling me some stories about back in the day when he used to catch PV, or he didn't catch PV. He caught all 4 other guys, but Henry Blanco was PV's catcher. And he was just telling me these stories. I could sit and listen to him all day. He goes, one time I asked Tim Flannery. No, he asked somebody that a really good infield guru. Who's the best infielder you've ever seen? He goes, Henry Blanco. I go, you're kidding. Out of everybody in baseball. He goes, Woodsy, do you know he never blocked a ball? Never. He never would drop to his knees and block. He picked everything. He goes, anywhere it was, he could pick it. Like a first baseman, never got out of his squat. I go, you're kidding. He goes, the best hands maybe in the history of baseball. Henry Blanco. And I'm just sitting here going, man, this game is so great. Even though the results on the field aren't what we want this last week, it's just still the greatest game of all time. It just is the greatest game. And the stories that come out from guys like Nick Hundley, who were around the league for a long time, that played in this organization, I never tire of it.
I'll have to reach out to Hundley. He lives here.
He lives here. That's what I was.
We gotta get him in studio.
100%.
One morning.
So I was asking him, like, so what do you? He's man. These are my two little girls. They're here. They're in school. I commute, but he basically commutes to work for the Texas Rangers, man. But you think about it and you go, I mean, that guy's here. He's here, a valuable resource, and working for another team. It's kind of a bummer, but guys like that, man, are just the best. My favorite kind of baseball players.
He was one of the very few players I covered that I felt like in a pinch, if I needed someone to like babysit my kids, like I'd trust Nick Hundley to do it.
I 1,000% almost said to him, "Do you mind if I go get a beer and you can watch the kids here?" He's the greatest, man. The greatest guy. So he wished us all the best and is just a really, really solid cat. So it was fun, man, getting to see my family and catch up with Nick Hundley last night. So it was a good night. We're going to go out to the ball yard tonight. Hopefully the guys can scratch out a win. It's been a while since they've scratched out a win. But listen, man, I watched the game last night. There were some things that drove me absolutely bananas. We will talk about them today. But, yeah, it is what it is. I mean, what are you going to do? You can only beat the table so much. It sucks.
We'll talk about it. I am going to go out after the show today and go to Goat Hill Park. And we've got our tournament coming up at Goat Hill in less than 2 weeks now. And if you still want to sign up, you can do so. We got a few slots remaining.
We're going to give you about another week, I think.
Yeah, we want you to get in. We've got some great sponsors who have set up terrific prizes from Callaway. We've got beer from Virgin Beer, Maestro Dobel. Better Buzz Coffee is in yesterday. Woodsy said he's going to get donuts for everybody. It's National Donut Day.
Yeah, I will.
It's today is National Donut Day. But I'm going to play, I believe, with our buddy Matt Janella from the Fire Pit Collective.
Love Matt.
And I saw it became official yesterday.
Big day for the Janella household yesterday.
Yes, It became official, so I feel like we can talk about it on the air. Matt Janella is currently taping because his wife is a new cast member on season 18 of The Real Housewives of Orange County.
He must be out of his mind.
And I've heard a couple of the stories already, but now it's official. It's out. Katie Janella posted yesterday on her Instagram account, "Cat is out of the bag." And you will see her and Maddie and their kids if you watch that show on Bravo. And I know Megan, Paul's wife, is a big religious watcher of the Real Housewives. I've never really experienced the show, but apparently it's pretty hardcore for the reality fans of that show.
As far as reality TV goes, it can get gnarly. I mean, they've had like women getting caught up in like full-on financial and legal scandals.
Yeah, there's been some like indictments.
The girl
stuff
in Utah, I don't
down.
remember her name, but she was married to the football coach at Utah or something. Not Shaw, but anyways, she was like going to prison while they were filming. They're
cool.
like, "Hey, is so and so here? You're coming with us." Like,
someone in the show is connected with the
Ipe
Mizuhara, the gambling scandal, and the bookie that's involved. Katie, I've met her a couple times. She seems like the nicest, sweetest person. I hope she doesn't get eaten by the sharks on that show because, Maddie is a nice guy and they have such a nice family, but they've been living this life up in Orange County.
I was at home yesterday and Megan goes, "Oh, God, the trailer's here." And I'm like, "Okay." And she watches it. She goes, "Oh, no." She goes, "I think they're going to make Katie one of the villains."
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
She's going after one of the girls. I'm like,
bro, I couldn't do it. I don't have, obviously, you see me on social media. I don't have the stomach for it. Holy smokes. It's not it for me. You gotta have the stomach to do it. I do not have the stomach to do it.
You kind of are one of the Padres' real house husbands here, though.
I feel that, yeah, definitely.
We live the social media life of the Padres that they don't live. They're just worried about playing the baseball.
Right.
We live among the fans playing the social media game of the Padres season.
100%.
in this like high profile role that we have. So you're kind of already in this life.
That's true. That's true. But without all the real fame and adulation and money. So, yeah, the benefits, the perks,
all the negatives, none of the positives.
Yeah, it's super cool. It's very cool. I'm doing great. Doing super well.
It's been a fun week.
It has been a really fun week. The cannibalism on the timeline after the Padres lose, the fingers that go pointing it's gnarly. I mean, it is like you got to try to take it with a grain of salt. But when this team loses, this town starts to crater. I mean, it's just from the inside, and nobody likes to lose. I hate losing it. And almost anything I do. There's nothing that I do in life where I go, hell yeah, I lost. Nothing. I expect to lose when I play golf with Ben. I mean, I know, like, I'm not delusional like he is when he thinks he can beat Steve Sugimoto. I know Ben's going to kick my ass at golf. Right. I don't ever think, no, I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him today. I'm terrible. But, like, everything else in life, if I'm playing cards, I want to win. If I'm playing basketball with my 6-year-old, I want to not let him, take it to the hole. I want to take it to him. But just with this team, man, it's hard to love something so much of which you have no control. Zero. I have zero control on how this team plays. Good, bad, indifferent, whatever. And it's hard. That's what makes sports so hard sometimes is you're watching going, I wish I could control this, and I can't. And it makes it tough. So
what did you think about what Chris Ello said it during the roundtable, and they talked about it on Gwen and Chris yesterday.
Oh, we lied. We said we were going to play the roundtable.
The Bill J, if they lost, we were going to play the round table.
I totally forgot.
We can't really do that. We have like 17, things we got to get to, right? I mean, there's no spots, and we'll be like an hour behind if we do that. What Bill James tweeted a few days ago, where he said,
"It's that time, Prior Faithful. Time to discuss
I'll play the whole thing
everything
right now.
going on with the Padres."
All right, we'll talk to you at
We've
7:12
gathered the entire
a.m.
97.3 The Fan crew together to bring you the most
Save your Bill
in-depth
James
discussion
tweet.
on the Friars in our
This is more
weekly
important.
Padres Roundtable, presented by San Diego Roundtable Pizza. Here's your host, Ben Higgins.
all right, I think we're
Time to
on.
talk, yeah.
We're just kind of settling
Hello.
in here to the Padres Roundtable, presented by Roundtable Pizza. We've got most of the crew in today.
Did everybody
from-
hear
I
me say
can't
we
do it,
should
Paul.
have
This
a-
is worse than Bob
I
Dylan.
can't do it either. All right, I'll save the Bill James tweet,
Save it.
and we'll
do it
come
next.
back. I'll do it next. We'll
Tease
set the
Read the tweet.
coming
and
off
then
the three-game
we'll answer
sweep.
it.
All right, the
Yep.
tweet was, fans of a 500 team overreact to every win and loss. A good team, you can't win them all. A 100-loss team, you get used to it. A 500 team, emotionally, you're just as good as the last 24 hours.
Let's ask Mike Shildt that exact question.
Do we overreact to every single game as fans, as Padres fans especially right now?
And is that okay? Is that okay to do?
We'll talk about that next with Ben Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station. Let's check traffic this morning on 97.3 The Fan. This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Prize Picks. Join the biggest moments in sports with Prize Picks. Pick your players, pick your stats, pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for details. What's his headphones are in the trash now.
Were those your
That was
headphones?
quick. That just happened, just instantly gone.
I've been cutting out for weeks.
A while. All right, he's getting the backup pair and getting it going here. So, the tweet that they were talking about yesterday on Gwynn and Chris from Bill James, noted Red Sox and statistical guru. Fans of a 500 team overreact to every win and loss. A good team, you know you can't win them all. A 100-loss team, you get used to it. A 500 team, emotionally, you're as good as the last 24 hours.
I mean, it's pretty profound, actually. And Bill James, I can go back and forth on Bill James all day. He's had some really horrible takes in the last few years,
True.
Especially. That is a really.
I agree with this one.
That's a profound statement, and it actually sums up exactly what this experience has been like. Not just this season, not just last season, but the season before as well. The playoffs, the season before, notwithstanding, the season leading up to the playoffs was pretty excruciating.
When you're around 500. There's nothing that a 4 or 5 game winning streak wouldn't fix.
Correct.
And there's nothing that a 4 or 5 game losing streak can't ruin.
Correct.
And that is absolutely true. If the Padres reeled off 5 wins right now, life would be absolutely fine by this time on Wednesday.
Yep.
It would be fine. We'd hey, Tatis is hot. Pitching's been really good.
Yeah.
They just won 5 in a row. This team looks like a solid playoff team. I mean, nothing that couldn't be fixed in a matter of 5 days when you're 500. The Angels just swept there's no reason for Angels fans to get excited about sweeping the Padres. They still know, doesn't matter, we're not going anywhere. We know our team's not good. In the end, we're going to lose 95, 98 games, something like that. That was just an anomaly over the course of the season. Similarly, Phillies drop 1 or 2. Yankees, lose 1 or 2 here. Fans, and there's no reason to get up in arms. They know, we'll be fine. We're going to win 95, 100 games. You're going to be in the playoffs at the end of the year. That's just the normal, ups and downs of baseball, the random noise that happens over a 162-game season. But when you are sitting around 500, and the Padres have literally been between 3 games over and 4 games under 500 every single day of this season. The best they've been was 3 games over. That was 5 days ago. Now they've lost 5 in a row. They're 2 games under. The worst they were was 4 games under. When they lost 5 in a row last time, they immediately won 4 straight to get back to 500. You're always going to feel only as good as the last game or the last series, and you're going to react much more strongly to it.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a profound statement, and it's absolutely true, and it's been true for the last couple of years, and I don't know what you do to change it. You've changed managers. You've overhauled the pitching staff. You've overhauled the bullpen. You've added pieces to the lineup. You've subtracted pieces from the lineup. You've been aggressive on the base paths. You've been not aggressive. The only thing I'm seeing really differently out of this year's team is they're giving away outs a lot more than last year's team. And I know the record is the exact same as it was this date last season, albeit with $100 million less of payroll. It just goes to show you how disappointing last year was. But again, it's not that this year isn't disappointing. It is so far. There's time to remedy it. Sure, there's absolutely time to remedy it. You just said it. Nothing a 4 or 5 game winning streak wouldn't cure for this fan base, our mental health, the San Diego Padres team as a whole, and Mike Shildt, the manager of the San Diego Padres, and A.J. Preller, the general manager and president of baseball operations. I'm sure he's in the chamber right now. Nobody likes to see their favorite team drop 5 in a row. 5 close games in a row, either. All games could have gone either way. And the thing is, though, is I can't come in here and go, hey, at least they're fighting, keeping it close, because that's disingenuous.
Well, I think part of it is that you have to react a little bit more strongly when your team's around 500. A 5-game losing streak could actually be the beginning of the end.
100%.
Last year when they were 32 and 34, we all thought they're
they'll figure it
fine.
out, dude. They're gonna figure it out.
They're fine. It's not what we expected, but this team's going to go on a run.
Yeah.
They're going to be fine, and they weren't. They went the other direction. They dug themselves into such a deep hole that even the streak at the end of the season could not save them. Certainly know it could happen to this team. This could be the stretch right now when you look back at the end of the season that completely unravels the 2024 Padres. Or could just be one of those regular 5-game losing streaks that every team is going to go through at some point, and the Padres bounce back, and, in a week, we're going like, all right, everything's fine here in San Diego. Don't know which direction they're going. So, of course, you have to react to it. Of course.
Yeah, the only thing I can say about it is that it's massively frustrating. It's massively frustrating, and there's a hump. They can't get over it. Somebody tweeted the other day, and it made sense to me. It's like 500 is a magnet to this team, and it just pulls them back. They get a couple games over, right back. It's been a magnet. There's a mentality, and I don't want to say that I think I'd be foolish to say there's a mentality with the team and the organization that 500 is okay. I don't believe that. I think that's not the right way to spend as much money as they have spent in the last few years and operate. I don't think that that's their, hey, as long as we're 500, we're fine. I mean, in this current iteration of the NL, it's actually fine right now. But you got to, other teams are going to figure stuff out. They are going to get guys back. They are going to get healthier. They're going to get locked in. You're seeing how long it took Fernando Tatis Jr. to get locked in. What if Corbin Carroll gets locked in? What if Mike Yastrzemski gets locked in for the Giants and Logan Webb and all these guys? What if they unlock something and start figuring it out? You're screwing around hoping that the other teams are going to continue to play as poorly as you have, and now you're losing head-to-head to them, and you're losing to teams that are well below 500. That's a problem for the San Diego Padres, man.
All right, here's what we've got on the program coming up today. There were some interesting, at least, aspects of last night's game. We'll discuss the 4-3 loss to the Diamondbacks in our Padres wrap-up. It was in a historic, now 5-game losing streak for the Padres. We'll tell you why. Plus, to discuss the bad call that ended the game. Mike Shildt did get ejected, I believe. Can you get ejected after a game is already over?
Yeah, I want to ask him what the punishment is.
Or are you technically?
I think it's just for record keeping.
Yeah.
Are you technically ejected from the next game now because it's once the game is over?
Do you have to pay a fine or something if you get run? I don't know.
Probably.
I'm going to ask him.
We can talk about that. Mike Shildt will join us, our manager's report at 9 o'clock. In between all of that, we'll have regular features like Take on Woods, Don't Do This, and it is a Grand Ole Friday, which means Jordan Schusterman from Cespedes Family Barbecue going to join us at 8 o'clock today as we talk about the Grand Ole game of baseball with Jordan. Always fun.
And with Jordan, I want to ask him about something that they have been tweeting about. They've talked about this team before. Do you remember the team they talked about that led college baseball in getting hit by pitches?
Yeah.
It's like their whole thing.
Yeah.
They just won another championship with another ungodly amount of hit by pitches. It's such a riveting, fascinating story. The guys were tweeting about it, so I want to ask them about that. Anything to distract us from Padres baseball for a minute.
All right, it's all coming up. We'll get into last night's latest disappointment for the San Diego Padres when we come back with our Padres wrap-up next. Ben Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. seeing video replays. Jake Cronenworth, hot at the end of that game last night. We will talk about it coming up in our Padres wrap-up. This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by...
should be, by the way.
Sure. Who wouldn't be? This hour brought to you by Express Employment Professionals. If you're ready for a new job, let Express Employment Professionals help you. Express is your one connection for a summer job in a variety of industries. Job seekers never pay a fee at Express. Go to expresspros.com to find your location. That's expresspros.com.
I think I'm going to check them out today, expresspros.com. I'm ready for a new job.
Did your paycheck from the Padres not clear?
Ooh, that's a shot. Let's see.
Is that a shot?
Not at me. A lot of misinformation out there. It's all right. Happens. Do submit. Again, I saw a tweet a couple weeks ago. Podcast microphone should cost $40,000. It'd solve a lot of the world's problems. Sorry. Moving on.
All right, we will get to our Padres wrap-up and talk about last night's latest frustrating loss after a check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Just a couple things to watch out for. Hit and run crash on southbound 15 near Market Street. No details as to whether that's blocking lanes. Cordell and Cordell traffic cam shows a stalled out motorhome westbound 78 at Emerald. That's partially in the slow lane. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's a shame if they lose.
Oh, a shame indeed.
It's a complete crap.
Oh, I did not like that.
Here are the lowlights from yesterday's game.
Are you kidding me?
Boo.
It's the Padres wrap-up, presented by Hamul Casino. With thrilling slots and tables and all the best rewards, Hamul Casino has all the fun you're looking for. Hamul Casino, fun above all else.
We'll give it 16 minutes of salt, and then we'll, get back on the bump and figure it out.
It's not your fault.
And now Walker hits one in the air to very deep left center field. Merrill is back into the gap. On the run, won't get there. Hits off the base of the wall. Walker thought it was gone. Just now gets to second base ahead of the throw. He is in with an RBI double, and the Diamondbacks lead it 1-0 here in the top of the first inning. 1-1 pitch hit in the air, straightaway center deep. Merrill back on the warning track at the wall, leaps up, gonna go. Home run, Eugenio Suarez, his 5th of the year. Straight away, and I mean straight away, center field here at Petco. And the Diamondback lead is 2-0. Pitch here, hit in the air to deep left field. If that is fair, it is gone, and it is. Lower balcony of the Western Metal Building. Moreno hits his 2nd home run of the year, and the Diamondbacks go back-to-back. It is 3-0 in the 2nd inning. Here's the 1-0. Higashioka hits it in the air. Deep to left towards the corner. Gurriel looking up. Gonna go! Number 3 for Kyle Higashioka. A lead shot here in the 5th inning, and the Padres are on the board. It's 3-1. Here's Fernando. And Tatis lines it into right field, a base hit. 8 for his last 8 to tie a franchise record.
That boy good.
Here's the pitch from Mantiply, and Cronenworth hits it in the air, very shallow left. Long run, Gurriel charging in, dives forward, and he did not make the catch. Throw comes in, hits Fernando, stays by the bag at third. He will score, and the game is tied. Arise read it all the way to score. The throw hit Tatis, and that allowed him to come in, and it is 3-3 here in the 5th. Here's the 1-0 to Marte. He lines it into left field, base hit. Carroll rounding third, going to try and score, and he will. Profar boots it. It rolls all the way away, and that allows Marte to go into second base. The Diamondbacks are back in front. It's 4-3. Here's the pitch from Sewald, and it is taken on the outside corner. Strike 3 call. Pitch was away. Jake's giving an earful to Eric Backus. Not that it'll matter. Cronenworth might end up getting ejected, so might Mike Shildt, but the game is over. Shildt has come out now. He's face-to-face with Backus. Padres have had issues all night long with the strike zone, and the game ends on a very borderline pitch for strike 3 call. Shildt was ejected just for record-keeping purposes. I don't believe that Cronenworth was, and a bitter, bitter pill to swallow at the end of a 4-3 loss here to the Diamondbacks in Game 1 of the series.
Yeah, even more so because you'd like to have a chance to actually end the game on your own terms. You know, I respect the umpiring profession highly, and I don't complain a lot. I got guys busting their asses all night. I got a guy with a little mild strain with his hip flexor. who shows up and willing to take an at bat, try to win us a ball game. That guys, playing their asses off all over the field, competing their tails off. Crony's in a dogfight there at the end against their closer. We get a guy on base, Pro works a walk, steals a bag, gives a chance to tie a game, brings Suarez in. Listen, man, you can't end a game when the ball, 6 inches off the plate and borderline high. I mean, listen, that's just not acceptable. And again, we lost. I take ownership of that. Don't want to blame anybody, but that's a bad way to end a ball game.
Another very, 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 very excruciating loss. Again, I tweeted it last night. Sure. And hey, listen, no one is harder on umpires than I am, but letting that game get down to that scenario and that situation is that's a
the game almost never comes down to
right.
One call from the umpire.
Yeah, like we both,
or the referee.
You both played clean. Everyone played clean. He missed one call. No.
There's always a point, whether it's basketball, football, baseball,
you
whatever,
look back
where you can go, that's where we lost.
That's where we lost the game.
That's where we could have really put some distance.
Correct.
But last night's game was pretty simple. It was in the runners in scoring position category,
no
going
question.
1 for 14.
That will not
where
get
the
job
Padres
done.
lost the game yesterday.
It will not get the job done. I do not like this current brand of baseball that the San Diego Padres are playing. It reeks of unconfident players, and I understand. They asked Mike Shildt about the bunts last night from Pro and from Jackson Merrill. The Merrill one was called. I still don't understand why not. I don't understand why you bunt Jackson Merrill, who is, again, has proven to be a guy that gives you a really solid bat. He's not incapable of a double in that scenario. He's not incapable. I'm not going to expect him to go up and hit a home run, but he's not incapable of doing that. My 3-hole hitter playing for a tie in the 5th inning makes me insane. It makes me insane.
I agree with you, actually. So Mike Shildt said after the game that...
Hey, you want to hear it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, we always are giving guys opportunity. Pro saw what he saw and took advantage of it, and Jackson was, hey, get him over and let's give a shot at Kimmy and Wadey.
You're content kind of there, knowing the situation, knowing that...
Yeah, I mean, Jackson was more called.
Okay.
Yeah.
So playing for the tie there, can you kind of go into what the
Yeah, because, I mean, we're at home. We got Suarez rested. We got to get the lead. We got to tie before we can get the lead. So, yeah, we hadn't played with too late with, a tie ball game or, so we want to take our shot and get our closer in there.
So, you can get your closer in there with a lead as well if you don't give away outs. And again, hey, listen, Fernando Tatis Jr. is so locked in at the plate. The ball looks like a beach ball to him. He's hitting the ball everywhere. You can't get
June Fernando. Is just unreal.
You can't get picked off second base. You just can't do it. You cannot get picked off in that situation.
Let's finish talking about the bunts.
Well,
first.
hold on, because it's all correlates. That's an out you gave away, right? You gave that out away with poor shoddy base running, and then you gave away 2 more. So you get 27 outs to play with essentially. And you gave away 3. You've taken a 9-inning game. You've now made it an 8-inning game. So now you got to win in 8 innings because you're handing the other team easy outs, free outs at the big league level. It just reeks of I'm not confident in my abilities as a hitter, even though Jerkson's having a monster year, right? I'm not confident. And to order it, I think I look at it and I go, why aren't you confident in the abilities of your team? I know you're scuffling right now. I know you are. But you're capable of and have proven that you're capable of. Especially with, look, man, nothing against Kimmy and Wadey, but you got to know who's coming up behind you there.
I agree with you. Jurickson, you could tell from Mike Shildt, who never, ever hangs a player out to dry. Even he couldn't own. I didn't call for that one. He said Jurickson saw what he saw. Thought maybe that was the right thing to do. I think Mike Shildt disagreed with Jurickson's decision to bunt there. I could tell you that's as far as he's ever going to go. He's not going to criticize, but that was not one that the manager wanted. But he admitted he called for the Jackson Merrill bunt. And here's why I disagree with it as well. As you said, the hitters coming up are not exactly the ones that you are expecting to drive in a bunch of runs, so you're setting up 2 of your bottom-of-the-order guys. But Jackson, as you said, can hit a double. He's also not the biggest either strikeout or double play threat. Correct. Because he makes good contact. He's got a lot of speed. Could he ground into a force out? and not move the runner over? Of course.
I take my chances,
that's absolutely a possibility, but he could also hit one to the gap. He could hit a single. You're giving away an out there that you don't have to give away. You could still advance the runner, even if, there's a lot of things that could happen that could still advance the runner without automatically giving up the out. I disagreed with the decision there to bunt in that situation, as both of us do in most situations in Major League Baseball.
Anthony says we got 2 of our 3 runs off that play. Yeah, no kidding. I mean, you bunted him over. Crony lobbed one into left. Gurriel dropped the ball. You did get a little bit lucky there in that scenario. But again, if they're on first and second, Pro doesn't bunt them over, are you telling me that your 3-hole hitter is the guy you want laying it down? Again, it's dependent on where you are in your lineup, who is at the plate, and who is coming up behind them. That's my biggest issue with it there. And I think playing for a tie in the 5th inning, to me, it's just not confident baseball.
I also disagree with the take that because they scored runs that inning,
that it was a great play.
That it was a successful play. You lost the game. You didn't win the game. You
Correct.
lost the game. That could have been the inning where you scored 5 runs and ended up winning the game, but you gave up an out during your biggest rally of the game. To me, that's a sign of a mistake, not a successful baseball play.
It's just an unconfident team, and playing for ties at home, it doesn't make sense to me. When you're scuffling, I understand you want to do anything you can to try to get a spark. But for me, knowing the risk reward, that you're most likely they're going to get an out. Right? The risk is you're going to give them a free out. The reward is they may throw one away, maybe. I don't know, man. I just think the risk reward is I want my guys to try to split the gap here, and let's get 4 or 5 runs here. Let's try. That should be the goal. Let's try to maybe get a lead and hold it instead of let's try to tie. It's very college baseball for me, and this is not a college baseball team. And Jurickson Profar is in the 3-hole for a reason, and it's not to bunt. It's not, and it's to help contribute to a big inning, and especially in the 5th inning, man. Those are the kind of things. And Toddy, getting picked off. The 3 outs we handed the Arizona Diamondbacks last night, and they're too good to hand 3 outs to.
Couple other notes. So Randy Vasquez obviously got off to the rough start, giving up 3 runs. Early, but recovered to throw another excellent game. 6 2/3 innings, 6 hits, just those 3 runs. He was getting booed when he gave up the back-to-back home runs in the 2nd. He got a standing ovation when he walked off the mound in the 7th. I tweeted about that last night. Got a lot of reaction from people who said, well, that's why you don't boo your own players, because they turn it around. And then you're cheering them, and you look silly that you booed a guy that you're then giving a standing ovation to in the same game. I also had people who said, maybe the boos inspired him to pitch better the rest of the game. I don't necessarily agree with that, and I don't mind fans expressing their frustration when the Padres fell behind 3-0, having already lost 4 games in a row. What is the natural and expected reaction? What are you supposed to do? Stand up and applaud? Like, hey, do better next time. Come on, man. Here we go.
It's not Little League.
It's not
man.
Little League. You're gonna boo in a situation like that.
Yeah, I don't care about booing. It's just unconfident baseball right now, and a little bit panic. It's a panic move, I think, by some of these guys right now. And again, dancing off second base. There's no reason. You're scoring on a hit. You're one of the faster guys on the team, if not the fastest guy on the team. You're scoring on a knock. So risk reward with this team. It's none of it's paying off really right now. I mean, we talked about the stat yesterday on the roundtable, Benny, that Craig had of they've run into 5 more outs than they've created. That's not a recipe for winning baseball. So they got to figure out a way to get that turned around. I'm going to ask Mike Shildt, how do you stop your players from doing goofy stuff? Right? It's easy at every other level. Every other level of baseball is easy to do. If my son, and I'm coaching my son, and he does goofy stuff, you know what I do with my son? I put him on the bench until he figures it out. I work with him. We go out and do practice. We practice base running. College level. You do some goofy stuff more than once, you're probably going to get benched. The minor leagues, you do some goofy stuff, they're going to work with you. They're going to teach you, but they're probably going to get benched. You're not going to bench Profar. You're not going to bench Tatis.
No, but
what do you do with
how
them?
do you pass along that lesson without completely ruining the confidence of a player and knowing at some point you do have to take an extra base?
Sure.
At some point you do have to be aggressive. You can't simply play passive, 100% careful baseball
I'm not talking
all the
about
time.
taking an extra base. I'm talking about getting picked off. Getting picked
Right,
off.
but
we are leading.
He was trying to steal third to get there with one out so he could score with one out. He was looking to make an aggressive play to get the Padres on the board.
But he
Did he
didn't.
leave too early? Yeah. He left too early. He didn't read the situation correctly.
We are leading baseball in players picked off. That is not a stat you want to lead baseball in. It's goofy base running, and it's pressing, and it's trying to do too much, trying to make something out of nothing, lack of confidence in your team, whatever it may be. I mean, but it's not going to contribute to success. It's just not. And in fact, it's hurting you.
However you look at it, it is one of the most unusual 5-game losing streaks in baseball history. I brought up the stat yesterday. It continued again last night. That is the 5th straight game in which the Padres have gotten a quality start from their starting pitcher. That's over 6 innings with 3 or few earned runs, and out-hit their opponent, had more hits than their opponent, and lost all 5 games. That has never happened in baseball history before, at least since they started recording earned runs in 1913, that a team has out-hit their opponent 5 straight games,
Unbelievable.
got quality starting pitching efforts, and lost every single game. You're just going to win most of those games, 80%, 90% of those games. You're going to win those games when you out-hit your opponent and you get a great starting pitching effort. So you can look at it 2 ways, though. You can look at it and say, this losing streak isn't really that big of a deal. They're not getting clobbered. It's not like they're losing big. They've lost by a total of 6 runs in the 5 games. You can also say they're certainly due to have a bad pitching start pretty soon. They're due to get out-hit by an opponent, and they've already lost 5 games. You start now, you go into a slump now where you're not even hitting, or your pitching goes, has a bad 3 days. Now you've got an 8-game losing streak. Now you're worried about losing 10 in a row. So you can look at the perspective both ways and say it's not really that reason for concern. They're doing a lot of things that usually lead to victories, but that's not going to hold forever either.
No, it will not. It will not.
Why do I feel like the Padres are always on the wrong end of these historic
because they are.
Historic
They
notes.
absolutely are.
They absolutely are.
All right, we'll come back. We're going to play some Take on Woods. Hour number 2 of Ben and Woods next here on 97.3 The Fan. Tier 1 Caitlin in the chat wondered who I was rooting for in the NBA Finals. And I was keeping track of it yesterday. I was watching the Padres game, but it was on the same time. So I was watching Game 1. It was on our channel, ABC 10. And the Celtics, by the way, won easily, 107-89. It wasn't even that close. They took a 17-point lead after the first quarter and pretty much kept the Mavericks at arm's length throughout the game. I have no love for the Mavs. They're not one of my favorite teams. Not a big Kyrie Irving fan. Mark Cuban, who I know sold most of the team, but still I think kind of runs it. Not a huge fan of his either. But the Celtics are, they're tied with the Lakers for the most titles. So I don't want to see them get one more than the Lakers. So got to cheer for the Mavs to see if they can at least prevent Boston from taking the all-time lead in most NBA championships. Doesn't look like they're going to be able to, though.
Just Dodger loving, Laker loving, just getting after it this morning.
Yeah, from what I've seen of the NBA playoffs over the last month and a half or whatever, the tandem of Luka and Kyrie have been so fun to watch.
Yeah.
Like, Kyrie's turned the clock back. It's like 2016 all over again. So I've been hoping to see
Luka's a very fun player. And,
he's a blast to
And
watch.
I don't mind cheering for Luka Doncic. But Boston, if you had some questions about them, the return of Kristaps Porzingis last night was a huge difference maker. He was incredible in the first half.
They also haven't played in like a week.
They're
very well rested.
They haven't played a week. He hasn't played in a month and a half. He's been out since the first series, I think. And they put him back in the lineup. It was like he hadn't missed a beat. And if they have that kind of performance from him, and then all the other options they have with Tatum and Brown, they're just the better team, and they're probably going to win the series. We'll see. It's just one game, but the Celtics were the favorites, and now they look like much bigger favorites after Game 1 of that series. But I am pulling for the Mavs and hoping that they do find a way to pull it out. A couple of injury updates that the Padres gave us yesterday. Obviously,
Ooh, boy.
Before the game, the Manny Machado injury news was, kind of iffy from Mike Shildt. He said day-to-day, got that hip flexor strain. They'll know more if he needs to go on the IL probably the next couple of days. Didn't think he would need to, but certainly didn't give any indication that Manny would be available to enter the game as he did last night as a pinch hitter in the 8th inning with a chance to tie the game or give the Padres the lead. Came up to pinch hit for Kyle Higashioka in the 9 slot. They knew he couldn't run, but they were willing to, give him a chance with his bat to hit something hard somewhere. Didn't hit a dribbler back to the mound, and that was the end of the rally. As always with Manny, he does not like to be left on the sidelines. He wants to play, if possible. He told Mike Shildt as they went to the 8th inning, if you need me, I can go. And so Mike Shildt called on him. Can you say, Kyle Higashioka had homered and had been swinging well. But you got to go with Manny in that situation, right? You've got to try it.
I think so. If he says he can go, you have to give him
What are the mechanics of that? When did you know that he'd be available? How did you?
He came to me. He came to me at the beginning of the inning. He said, I can go. And I said, all right. So we checked with medical, and he said he's not going to be able to run. I said, I don't think we're going to have to worry about that. And double checked with him, and went down and got loose. And we came back in, and they went out for the mound visit, and we made the decision.
And now they said he's probably not going to start today either. Yeah, some teams go through this. We've gone through this with Manny before, where they're not playing. There was another team, and I want to say it was the third baseman, and it's escaping me right now. But he had sat for a really, really long time. Oh, it was Austin Riley for the Braves. When we were playing the Braves, they were talking about how Riley has not played in 9, 10, 11 days, and he was not pinch hitting. He really wasn't doing anything, and why not go on the IL, bring somebody else up? This is one of those things that I think you can argue about all day. If it's just going to be a couple days, you never want a guy on the IL, Ben, sitting there for a week that's like, I actually am more than healthy and ready to play. But you also can't have a guy languishing for 2 weeks going, hey, I can give you an A, B here or there. And especially, if it looked like that one last night from Manny, and no ability to run down the baseline at all. So with fear of injuring himself worse, I don't know what you do. I really don't. It's obviously always going to be player dependent, but the problem when that player is Manny Machado, he's going to tell you, I'm good. Let me swing it.
And I also think that even Mike Shildt, if you're $35 million a year star player says,
he wants to play?
I can go, I can play,
Yeah.
I can give you an at-bat here. I don't think you can just say, no, I don't believe you, and you're not getting an opportunity here.
I mean,
you
I know
either put him on the injured list, or when he says he can give you a pinch hit,
and
you're going to use him to pinch hit. I mean, that's just the reality of the situation.
And a lot of fans, will then turn on the player and say, well, that's you're being selfish.
We had this conversation 2 years ago.
We did.
Manny
With the ankle.
wouldn't go on the IL
Yeah.
for almost 10 days. Then they brought him back, and he played for 3 weeks, not himself, because he wanted to be out there. Some people said it was inspirational. It helped push the Padres to the NLCS at the end of the year. Others said, why would you play a guy who can't run, who can't do what he normally does? Just sit him and let him get healthy.
Yeah.
If it takes 2 weeks, it takes 2 weeks. A healthy player is better than a 60% player over that course of time.
Yeah, you're really damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you sit, you're Anthony Rendon. And if you play, you're a detriment to the team and you're selfish. It really is a no, and not just Manny. It's for almost every player that goes through something like this. I saw Braves fans crushing Austin Riley for this, crushing him, just murdering, go on the IL. Everybody's always screaming, get the surgery, go on the IL. And it's like, all right, man, damned if I do, damned if I don't. But yeah, I mean, I thought that was a cool moment last night until the swing happened, and obviously really wanted that for Manny to come through.
Yeah, I think you take a chance at a special thing happening there.
Yeah.
Because if Manny comes through, Petco Park erupts. You kind of get your mojo back in one swing.
Sure.
If Manny comes through like that, a Kirk Gibson like moment.
I
that
didn't
inspires everybody.
I didn't have a lot of confidence in it, just based on how the season has gone so far. Of course, I wanted it for Manny, but I didn't have a lot of confidence in it there. And especially, I just was hoping one of those sinkers was left middle in like he likes it. And I visualized it in my head. I know where this pitch needs to be for him to do the most damage on it, and never really quite got to that spot. The down and in was nasty from him, and I just thought, man, if he misses by a millimeter, man, he's going to put this ball in the stands. And of course, it didn't work out that way, and it's a bummer. But yeah, I think if he's not going to be in the lineup today, we got to make sure he's as close to 100%, which. Who is right now, but we got to make sure he's as close to 100% before he gets out playing third again.
I'm reading Kevin Acey's daily newsletter here. He's talking about that at bat. He says, then came a 92-mile-an-hour sinker practically in the middle of the zone that Machado topped, sending it slowly toward Thompson, who threw it to first base for the inning ending out. Quote, should have got a hit there. Would have been a lot better, Machado said. He left it there. That's the pitch I was looking for. I just got a little bit on top of it. He says he obviously couldn't run very well. Campisano was going to run for him had he gotten on base, but while Shildt says it's unlikely he starts today, it does at least look like that's a good sign that he got in the game. He won't be heading on the injured
So
list.
again, I mean, here's an example. Roxanne in the chat says, excuse me, isn't the player employed by the team? Isn't it the manager's decision and not the players?
That's sweet.
It's a bit of a naive take, Roxanne, and I don't want to be a jerk here, but it is a bit of a naive take. The answer is, well, yes, he is employed by the team, certainly, and
it's counterintuitive because the manager actually works for the players. The
it's
players
exactly
don't
right.
work for
they
the
don't work
manager.
for the manager, dude. It's not. Again, this isn't travel ball, right? And again, like Ben said, if your $35 million a year player says, "Skip, I can go," on no planet, and Nick says in the chat, or you took the bat out of a hot hitter and you ground out. Kyle Higashioka, who I love, and I think he's gotten a bit of a bad rap at times. He doesn't get a lot of playing time. Yes, he homered early in the game, but you could poll every manager in the history of baseball, and they say, do you want 100% Kyle Higashioka at the dish, or do you want 75% Manny Machado at the dish? Kyle or Nick, I promise you, it will be the biggest landslide that you've ever seen. And I don't know if Higgy gets one vote. You could poll 1,000 managers. It would be 1,000 to 0 that you let Manny Machado, if he says he can go, swing it in that instance. You know that. You know that. You know that. That's not something that really should have to be explained. And I would feel like an absolute jackass asking Mike Shildt that question later. It's such a no-brainer. But again, if he's going to not be able to run at all or kind of barely swing, I don't think he should he may himself, he's a human being, got caught up in the moment and goes, I can do this. I can get it. I can get one swing off. And it wasn't a good one.
Kind of like the question, does Woods work for Adam or does Adam work for Woods? Never quite sure of
that. Is that's a very good comp.
Never quite sure. All right, we have one more injury update. Need a contestant for Take on Woods. Call now because we got to get our game going here in like 60 seconds. Call in your chance to win. We got those tickets. One more day of tickets to the Kings of Late Night, including Jay Leno at the San Diego County Fair. Got to take on Woods, though, in our musical trivia challenge, 833-288-0973. Call now, 833-288-0973 for your chance to play and win. We heard from Joe Musgrove from the horse's mouth himself about his elbow injury. Said got an MRI, and it is a bone spur in his elbow and a bone bruise in his elbow. He had 2 injections, one a PRP.
PRP, baby.
And the other a cortisone shot. They will now rest it for 2 weeks to allow the PRP to do its thing.
It's magic.
You know, the cortisone to hopefully reduce all the inflammation. And then if things are feeling good in a couple of weeks, Joe can start throwing program again. Obviously, he won't be right on the mound. That'll probably be another couple of week process. And if all goes well, it's a month. If it doesn't go well, Joe said arthroscopic surgery is still a possibility. That, of course, would require a longer recovery time and put, obviously, most of the rest of the season in jeopardy if he does need to go under the knife or the arthroscope, at least. So we'll cross our fingers that the PRP, which is a pretty common technique now. Yu Darvish got it. Other players get it. And it has been effective. It's an evolving and advancing medical science that baseball is using a lot here. That hopefully Joe will see some of those benefits as well and can get it back on the mound and be Joe Musgrove for the second half of the season.
That's what QC Kinetics is.
It is.
I mean,
PRP.
So I'm a big fan of it, but I'm also, you're not counting on me to go out and throw 7 innings either. You know what I mean? It's worked for me. This is just a really, really unfortunate season for Joe.
Brandon says Woods works for Adam, but Bald Reindl works for Woods.
That's exactly right.
Good,
That's
good
a
one,
point.
Brandon.
Good point.
All right, let's get to our game. It's time to take on Woods. Going with Kevin. You are in today as our contestant on Take on Woods. Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning, Ben. How are you?
I'm good. Take on Woods is brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. It only takes 15 minutes, and you don't have to get out of your car. For directions and discounts, go to SoCalOilChange.com. That's SoCalOilChange.com. Let's get right to it. Categories today. It's Not False. Ooh, I Know This One. Those are bands with double O's in their name. And we've got House Party, which is an all 2-second song category. So, It's Not False, Ooh, I Know This One, or House Party. Kevin, what would you like to play?
How about the ooh one?
Ooh, I Know This One. All right, today on Take on Woods, we are looking for 5 bands with a double O in their name. You'll have 60 seconds, 5 questions. Pass if you don't know one. First question's the 2-second song. You'll need to give me the song title and that artist with a double O in their name. We'll compare your score to Woods, and if you beat or tie him, we'll give you the tickets to the Kings of Late Night at the San Diego County Fair on June 21st. Jay Leno, Craig Ferguson, Arsenio Hall, and more. Tickets at sdfair.com. Kevin, you ready to play?
I'm ready. I'll even throw something, and if I lose, I'll give Woods some avocados.
Oh, Kevin. All right. Good luck to you. I know which Kevin this is now. Paul, you ready to go?
Yes.
All right. 60 seconds on the clock. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Kevin. Let's take on Woods.
Gosh, I've heard that one before, but why is it so much easier when you're not on the radio?
You're using too much time here, Kevin. Say pass. What's the name of the band whose breakthrough 1995 single was named Name? Even the members of which band aren't sure of the reason behind the name of their band, which released The Reason in late 2003.
God, pass.
All right, in this question, you need to tell me the 60s English rockers behind hits including Question and Nights in White Satin.
Oh, that's, geez, what was their name? Oh, God, this is horrible. I think I've just lost everything.
Yeah. Which Irish band wrote their biggest hit, I Don't Like Mondays, about a 1979 school shooting at Grover Cleveland?
That's the Boomtown Rap.
Correct. Go back to our 2-second song. You know this one, Kevin. Come on.
I know
You got one. You're not out. You got one. Hang on. That was What a Fool Believes, of course, like my favorite song by the Doobie Brothers. Name is by the Goo Goo Dolls. The Reason is Hoobastank, and Nights in White Satin. You should have gotten that one, Kevin. It's the Moody Blues. You did get the Boomtown Rats, though, so just 1 point there for Kevin. You never want to give up, though. You want to fight all the way to the end. All right, Kevin's score is locked in. Woods?
Yes.
60 seconds back on the clock. Headphones on. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck. Let's take on Kevin.
What a Fool Believes, Michael McDonald.
Incorrect.
Oh, you turd.
What's the name of the band whose breakthrough 1995 single was named Name?
Goo Goo Dolls.
Correct. Even the members of the band aren't sure of the reason behind the name of their band, which released The Reason in late 2000.
Hoobastank.
Correct. In this question, you need to tell me the 60s English rockers behind the hits, including Question and Nights in White Satin.
The Moody Blues.
Correct. Which Irish band wrote their biggest hit, I Don't Like Mondays, about a 1979 school shooting at Grover Cleveland Elementary here in San Diego?
Dude, I know this one. This is going to drive me nuts. What is the category?
Tricky.
It's not split. The Happy Mondays.
No, it's the Boomtown Rats. But you didn't win 3-1. You actually Kevin got that one, didn't get the other ones. It's not Michael McDonald, it's the Doobie Brothers, which is important because the category is bands with a double O in their name. Doobie Brothers.
What a fool believes.
Not quite Michael McDonald, but
Not quite.
Goo Goo Dolls, Hoobastank, Moody Blues.
God.
Congratulations, Woods.
Thank you.
Kevin's going to send you some avocados for your victory.
The Hoobastank.
Hoobastank, the reason.
Your Hoobastanks. What a beautiful song
There it
this
is.
I love it so much.
I know, it's embarrassing.
We've
but I do
got
too.
Don't Do This and Do This coming up next.
Case of mistaken identity.
Yes.
Oh,
when
guys.
interviewing somebody, make sure they're
the right
person you think they are.
And
guys,
and I don't know if you
guys.
saw this, but the United States pulled off one of the biggest upsets in sports yesterday, and I don't think many people even realized it happened.
Or were prepared for it at all.
We will get to that next after a check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan. Don't Do This is brought to you by the Craft Taco in Sorrento Valley. If you haven't been, please check it out. Craft Taco has some of the best quality tacos in all of San Diego. And we have a lot of quality tacos in San Diego, and theirs are right up there near the top, if not at the top. CraftTaco.com. Take a look at their happy hour specials today. CraftTaco.com. Well, we already discussed the game a little bit, but I did want to just talk a little bit more about the call that ended last night's Padres game.
It was a rough one.
Really bad call by home plate umpire Eric Bacchus. And as Paulie mentioned, he goes, I don't remember seeing that guy. He
just graduated high school.
He looks really, really young.
Yeah.
He let's see, how old is he? He was born in 1990, so he's pretty young for an umpire. He has been in the league only since the pandemic. He joined as a major league umpire in 2020 at age 29. So he's now 33 years old. So this is just his fourth season, or start of his fifth season in the big leagues. I don't really remember that much about him, but he has been in the league a couple of years. Had also called Kyle Higashioka out on a third strike that was probably even further outside. It wasn't as high as Jake's, but it was
other side
on the other side, and it was maybe 8 to 10 inches outside. But the game comes obviously down with the tying run at second base. Jake works a very long at-bat against Paul Sewald.
Fouls a couple pitches
Fouls
off.
some pitches off.
Missed a couple
single
cookies.
ties it. A home run wins it. Yeah, the first two pitches were the ones to hit. But he's about to work the count full on a pitch that is way outside and a little bit up. But instead, the game ends, and Mud lost his mind on TV last night.
This should actually be a do this for Mud. This was
100%.
great.
Strike three call. And that ends the ball game, and that was not close to being a strike.
Brutal. Horrible. Took the bat right out of the kid's hands. Wasn't even close.
Like Shildt out there arguing that very point, but this game is over.
Ouch.
Oh, you didn't put the part in where Mud goes, you got to be shaving me. And that's the... Scared me to death, by the way.
You got to be shaving me.
Oh, it scared me. I'm like, bro, come on. Tell me. It's not worth it. It's not worth it, Mudley. It's not worth it, man.
That's Padres.tv. He can say whatever he wants, right? No FCC on Padres.tv.
Is that true?
I don't know. It's over cable.
Please have me in the booth.
Oh, that.
Please have me in the booth.
I don't think the Padres would be happy with him, but I don't think they'd be fined or anything if he did say the word.
You got to be shaving me. Fantastic. I've never heard that before. It did.
I've heard him say. I've heard Mud.
Oh, yeah? I've never heard him say you got to be
used that a
shaving
couple
me.
of times,
Okay.
yeah.
Whew, I must have missed it. All right, this sucks, dude. This sucks so bad. Golf Channel yesterday. They go down and they're working a pro-am. Where was this pro-am at?
This was not the PGA Tour. This was some other tour.
It was a pro-am, though.
Yeah, it was some sort of
professionals playing along with amateurs. Yeah. And this young reporter here thought she was interviewing former Texas quarterback Vince Young, and joins him on a walk down the fairway. But the problem was, it was not Vince Young, but she thinks that it is. Listen to this.
Vince Young playing this week, and he's down with Warren.
Nope.
6 seasons in the NFL, arguably one of the best NCAA quarterbacks of all time in Texas. Picked up golf about 4 years ago. What's the biggest shift you make going from the ultimate team sport to now the ultimate individual sport?
Now, I apologize. We have the wrong person. I'm Everett Sands over Citadel, which I'm a football coach.
Pause. And she doesn't say, oh my gosh, I am so sorry.
As a television host, I am dying inside at this moment.
It makes your
embarrassment.
It makes your everything clench up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It hurts down below, doesn't it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All the credit in the world to him.
Yes, 100% for not being
taking that the way he did.
Yeah.
He totally he gave the pregnant pause there for her to just be like, I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Let's go back
I'm
to
an
you
idiot.
guys.
Back to you, Jason.
Cut it. No,
they
kept going.
The thing is, the great thing about golf is that I'm not only competing against myself, but I'm competing against everybody else.
Cut it right there.
This is your first pro-am ever played, and what's the best part of being out here?
Gonna keep going.
God, just gonna keep grinding through
being
it.
out here is a great thing, and having an opportunity to play with some professional golfers is a intimidating thing, but also a great thing.
Good luck this weekend.
Hey, I appreciate it.
I have a confession to make.
What? You've done it?
Never told anybody this.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
It wasn't live on television, but I did it once. It was I was probably about 20 years ago.
Oh my god!
Working for Channel 10, covering the Farmers Insurance Open. It was after like the first round, and I was looking for one of the early leaders, Davis Love III.
Okay.
And apparently, I don't remember who the golfer was. There was another tall kind of guy who looked like him, and I went up and started interviewing him thinking he was Davis Love III, and he wasn't, and he had to correct me. And it was never spoken of again, and I walked away very sheepishly and embarrassed.
Walk me through it.
I've tried to block out the specific memory, but
my God.
I think it's
So
just
you
something
walk
like,
up?
yeah.
Now, did you do the bit where you're like, I'm joined
No,
by Davis Love?
I was just throwing a
getting
question out.
audio?
I was like, can you tell me about your round? You write, 2 strokes off the lead, and then all of a sudden you can see kind of him thinking like, who do you think I am? It's like, are you Davis Love? No, I'm not. I'm so and so, whoever it was.
Now you weren't live though.
No. It was just trying to get some sound for later, so I didn't have to wear the embarrassment on television, but it happened.
Come here.
It was very stressful, though.
Come on. No. Come on. Get your arms around there.
Hey Ben, it's not your fault.
Thank you. Thanks. All right, I just absolved of that one.
Does it feel good a little bit to get it off your chest? Does it?
I also realized that probably most people would know what Davis Love III looked like versus everybody else either. So,
did you ever figure out who he was?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
That sucks so bad, man.
Yeah, it's not a good feeling.
It's a gnarly feeling.
That's why when I saw that clip, it just brought back some bad memories there.
I did the same. I mean, I didn't mistake them, but with the Pixies, when I interviewed the Pixies, like notoriously horrific interview. They were very kind after, but I walked out of the...
You thought they were AC/DC.
No. Hey, I'm joined by AC/DC. Why do you guys play the same song every time? I was so intimidated, and I walked out of there, and my promo, Jack, that was the first time I ever got to hang with Jack, who's now like one of my best friends on the planet. And I just put my head down. He put his arm around me. He goes, "It was fine." And I go, "It wasn't fine. It was effing terrible." I had a chance to interview the Pixies, and I just crapped down my leg, man. He's like, "Let's go get you a drink. You're good. Just have a couple drinks, and you'll be fine." Oh my Lord, dude. Do you guys remember when Adam screamed at the owner of the San Diego Padres after the thing, and then he couldnn hear, so he had to scream it again at him? I mean, that was, at least he didn't think it was somebody else.
Yeah, at least he wasn't yelling at Tom Seidler or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, he gets Tom. Hey, was it extra sweet?
Clinching game today. It could not have been better. Congratulations to our players. Is it extra sweet because it was against the Dodgers?
What?
Sorry, what?
Is it extra sweet because it was against the Dodgers?
Maybe the moment. A little bit. Maybe the moment. Maybe the best moment on this program. The giddiness of when we found it on Monday and when we heard it. I just don't know that I'll ever be able to replicate that. All right. And then, Benny, for Doo-Doo.
Doo-Doo, yes.
DD Mega Doo-Doo.
So, in most team sports, other than soccer, the United States is usually a big favorite, but not in the case of the sport of cricket, where Pakistan is one of the biggest powerhouses in the world, and the U.S. is like, one of the tiny non-factors. But yesterday at the World Cup, the United States pulled off one of the biggest upsets in cricket history when they defeated Pakistan in the group stage of the qualifying cricket teams. I read the story on ESPN and I realized I thought I sort of understood cricket. I don't understand it at all. It went to a super over, which I think it's kind of like an extra inning at the end, and whoever scores the more wickets or the runs wins it. And the U.S. went first, and they had 19, and then they held Pakistan to 13, and they ended up winning the match or the test or whatever it's called. But this was, people said, this is like significant in the world of cricket.
Well, this is funny, too, because of the discourse all week between baseball fans and cricket fans, and the cricket fans across the world were ragging on baseball, and you can never do this. The U.S. goes and beats the powerhouse of cricket, Pakistan. And, I mean, it's just that, we lament some of the bad things about sports. That's one of the good things about sports right there. When that happens.
John Boy has been into cricket. He kind of explained, like, what would be the equivalent? He said, like a double-A team beating the Phillies. Like, not wholly impossible, but really, really unlikely for it to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we would be remiss if we did not shout out the utter dominance of the Oklahoma Sooners women's softball team, who have just won their 4th consecutive national championship in a row, beating Texas last night. Just sheer dominance from the OU women's team.
Imagine any fourth-year seniors on that team.
What a run! 4 rings.
I mean, I always wonder, like, what would it have been like to be on those John Wooden UCLA basketball teams that won every year? You can't do it nowadays, though, with recruiting and NIL and everything. It's so hard to put together a good team year in and year out.
You say that.
They do it in Oklahoma.
That's
Patty Gasso's the coach.
Incredible,
she's
man.
won 8 titles now.
8
at Oklahoma. Second most all-time to UCLA. And, of course, they beat Texas in the final. Both of those teams now move over to the SEC as that wraps up the Big 12 all-time in their rivalry. It just moves right over to the SEC.
Freaking 4-peat, man. Just insane.
That is Don't and Do This for a Friday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, we will talk some more Padres baseball when we come back. Obviously, they have lost 5 in a row for the second time this season.
Ooh.
How dire is it, though, is the question. We'll come back next on 97.3 The Fan. Don't go.
Happy Friday, everybody. It's Woods.
Little Stevie Wonder
I
on a
wonder,
Friday morning.
I wonder, Stevie here wonders when the Padres will ever win a game again. When will it be?
All right, can you just for a moment, this segment.
I can't. I know what you're going to say. Go ahead.
Take your Padres fan hat off for a second. Let's pretend we are analyzing a team that plays 1,000 miles away. We're just regular baseball, fine, 3,000, wherever.
Okay.
We're just baseball, or we're on the other side of the country, and we're doing a show right now in Charlotte.
Raleigh-Durham.
That's funny. We both went with North Carolina because we're big in North Carolina.
We're huge in North
All right.
Carolina. Huge.
Jordan, North Carolina.
Yeah.
We're in your town. We're doing a local show on the station in the Triangle there in Raleigh-Durham. And we decide we're going to talk a segment of Padres baseball.
Sure, why not?
How do we approach this team right now? You're going to do that right after this check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Problems on the South 5 coastline. Crash has been cleared over the right shoulder just past Manchester. And watch out for some metal debris in middle lanes. Further down, right before Delmar Heights Road. Now getting reports of a crash on westbound King Freeway before Euclid. Got a couple vehicles involved in this when they're over the right shoulder. And Kelly Danick with Ben & Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Hey, North Carolina. It's Friday morning here on The Fan, 97.3 in Raleigh-Durham.
Welcome into Booger and Cheese.
Carolina Panthers football, off-season workouts. We'll talk about those in our next segment. But right now, let's talk a little baseball. And we are looking at the San Diego Padres right now.
Stupid. All right, what's happening? What are you doing?
How do you objectively look at this team?
Objectively,
you look at it,
just
you
say
look
they're
and say,
average. It's just the average
you look and see,
baseball
okay,
team.
they've lost 5 in a row. That's ugly, especially with the Angels being 3 of them.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad, right? But then I look at the National League standings and I go, well, they're not really better or worse than most of the teams right there in the National League. They're just one of a bunch of middling teams right now in the National League. Now I look at this losing streak and I go, should they be really concerned about these games? Like, they haven't been blown out, that's for sure. They lost by 1 run every single time, except for a 2-run loss. Is this a team that you think, oh man, their season is over? Or are you looking and going, it's not really that big of a deal? It's just a normal 5-game losing streak where they haven't happened to get the big hits when they needed to get the big hits. It'll happen to every team at some point. What do you really think about the Padres right now?
Carlos says, I lived in North Carolina for 6 years. 0 baseball talk. So we would be some groundbreaking MFers out in North Carolina talking baseball.
Well, there wasn't any baseball talk here until we got here either.
Fair enough.
Let's go out to John in Charlotte. Hey, who the hell are the Padres?
What the hell is a Padre? Why, you're I think across the country, I mean, the casual baseball fan looks at it and goes, okay, 5-game losing streak, 2 games below 500, that's just an average baseball team. I honestly don't know if you went up to a casual baseball fan here in San Diego, legit, like, hey, do you watch baseball? Not much. Been to a couple games, but don't watch on TV, don't listen to anybody talk about it. I like going to Petco Park. I like Cutwaters. I like going out every now and then, Friday night beer fest, whatever. If you ask them, hey, how are the Padres doing right now? And they'd say, I've heard if I told them, hey, they've lost 5 in a row. They're 2 games below 500. They'd go, sounds about right. That's Padres. That's been the kind of overarching theme here. You asked earlier in the week what their identity is and what their brand is. And, honestly, it's keeping the faith for a winner, here in San Diego. And I think mediocre is really, that's what they are. They're a mediocre team right now, and their record says so. But in context, there's a buttload of other mediocre teams in the NL right now, which, even in their mediocrity, still gives them a chance. So as long as you have a chance, you're not out of it yet. Yeah, you keep fighting, you keep, hoping for the best. But as they say, hope is not a strategy.
Yeah, I feel like what the Padres did this week is they missed a great opportunity where they could have actually separated themselves from the other mediocre teams.
Absolutely, man. And those other teams also have missed that opportunity. Diamondbacks, though, getting a win against a team that their Booger and Twitch, whoever those guys
Snot and
are,
Storch.
Snot and Storch, they're on the radio this morning saying that's exactly what we needed to do. This is the team we needed to beat last night because we got to get our train going. We want to get back to the World Series, and good to see Corbin Carroll get some knocks and whatever else. That's what they're talking about. Is they looked at the Padres as a team that they needed to get right against that had lost 4 in a row.
Speaking of Corbin Carroll, got a text last night from my old photographer Jeff LaValle. He was mad that Mike Shildt pulled Randy Vasquez with 2 outs, cruising, 2 outs in the 7th, nobody on, and he pulled him for Jeremiah Estrada, and then Estrada immediately gave up the double to Corbin Carroll and what turned out to be the game-winning single to Ketel Marte. And I know Jurickson booted that ball. I think it was a very low chance he was going to throw Corbin Carroll out at the plate.
Give yourself a chance, I guess. He
But
kicked that thing 100 yards.
You had no chance after you kicked it to the foul line.
Yeah.
But he said, why would you take a pitcher out who was retired, like 16 of his last 17 or something like that?
Yeah, the 2-out switches are a little bit odd. We've seen it a lot from the skip. But
Is that something you would have been critical of? It didn't work, clearly.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, if I have an arm that I think is a better fit for getting the next guy out, I'm probably going to go to it and rest easy, even if it doesn't work out.
My text back to Jeff was, I agreed with the move before he made it, because Corbin Carroll had put good swings every time on Randy Vasquez.
On Vasquez.
This would be his 4th time getting to look at him.
Yep.
And you got Jeremiah Estrada warm,
correct,
and ready in the bullpen, and he's been
really
your second best reliever all season long with an ERA under 1.
Yeah, I think you can sleep with that. I think you can sleep with that move at night. I really do. And again, that is a perfect example of hindsight being 2020. You don't know what, like you said, the 4th time through, Corbin Carroll had hit some balls well. Yeah, man, I just, somebody said, well, what about a lefty? And I looked up Marte's splits. He rakes lefties. He's got 9 homers off lefties and 3 off of righties this season. So, baseball's a weird sport. Bullpen decisions like that, when you can get a fresh electric arm in, just to make sure nothing happens, I'm okay with the move. Obviously, the result, the process was good. The result was not. I'm fine with that, man. I'm more mad about bunting and getting picked off bases.
We'll have Mike Shildt join us for the manager's report coming up at 9 o'clock this morning. It'll certainly be. We've talked to him after some bad weeks and losing streaks. This is obviously the first time we've gone through an entire week here without a single San Diego Padres victory.
Yeah, that's
true. They have
true.
not won since last Saturday. We had Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. All 5 losses, all 5 shows this week coming after Padres losses.
This hasn't been my favorite.
It doesn't make for the most enjoyable.
No.
For at least, the
I'm
3
sure,
of us.
I'm sure he's not in a good mood either. No skipper wants to drop 5 straight, but
he was insistent last night again, though, that things are going to be fine.
Okay.
He said it. Do we have that bite, Paulie? Yeah. Mike Shildt, once again, and I was not surprised by this, but wanted to tamp down the talk of panic or the talk of a team in a free fall. He said, no, he had no worries whatsoever. This team is going to be fine.
I mean, that's the thing about it. End result wasn't there, hadn't been there the last couple games, and we're all disappointed in it. I love this club, man. These guys show up. They're ballers, man. They get after it. We haven't won a few. It's not going to last. This club's going to be just fine. I'd sit here and I could tell you if I had some concern, if it wasn't guys going through the motions, giving the bats away. Preparation wasn't good. Competition wasn't involved. These guys aren't giving away anything, And tonight they showed up in front of a nice crowd again and got down early. And look at Randy Vasquez. Good for him, man. This guy threw his tail off. Homer, 2-run homer, down 3-0. We could have this woe's me. Here we go again. This guy pitched into, getting 2 outs into the 7th. Did a tremendous job and set us up for success, quite honestly. And our guys kept scratching and clawing. And, the fact of the matter is we do need to be better with runners in scoring position. 1 for 14 is just not going to make it happen. So, but, a lot of good things, not enough. But we'll be ready to go tomorrow.
All right, they did, fight back for a 3-0 deficit. I think a lot of us thought once it was 3-0, like, okay, this is the one where they really get hammered today. They're going to lose 9-1 or something. And they came back to tie the game and had plenty of chances to go ahead and win. So in that sense, he's correct. The one thing that I don't totally believe, because I haven't seen it from Mike Shildt, he said in that soundbite, hey, if they were playing poorly, I would tell you. He said, if they were doing things that I didn't think were right, I would tell you. I have not heard Mike Shildt tell us anything other than the positives from his baseball team so far. Maybe he did. Maybe in his 3 years with the Cardinals, there were stretches where he was like ranting, going, I hate what I'm seeing right now from our team. We need to change up stuff. And I don't know. I wasn't following him closely enough to see whether he did that or not. But so far in his tenure as Padres manager, there's never been a game or a loss where he said that he felt like his team was really in a bad spot and, something needed to change. It's always, no, things are okay. We just, came up on the short end and they're going to be okay.
Guess it remains to be seen.
We will come back. Jordan Schusterman, Cespedes Family Barbecue will join us coming up next year on 97.3 The Fan.
Halfway home on a Friday, mercifully. Ben and Woods, 97.3, The Fan. Great to be here with you. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl, the executive producer. Ben Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor, joins us as well. Obviously spent a good portion of the morning talking about the 5-game losing streak from our beloved San Diego Padres. And, you know, listen, I mean, you don't want this thing to get any worse. I'll tell you that. You do not want it to get any worse. Just a battle for the mid right now in the NL West. But yeah, I mean, Giants win tonight. We lose tonight. They will be in fourth place. And sure, I get it. It's June 7th or whatever. But yeah, it's just not a hole you want to keep digging. If you're Mike Shildt and the San Diego Padres, will be joined by the skipper in an hour. Looking forward to talking to him. It's always a different tenor, I think, after a game than it is the next morning. And we're talking about. Remember we played the clip from Pete Fairbanks, the 16 minutes of sulk. I've been a lot more sulkier after 5 straight losses than just 16 minutes and having the ability to flush it. I have that sense of dread when I watch the team now, which I hate having that. I didn't have that a few weeks ago. I've got it now. Like, what can go wrong? And it probably will.
The Padres are now one of 11 teams in the National League out of 15 with a losing record.
Yeah.
There's only 4 teams
above
that
500.
don't have a losing record. They
Crazy.
are the Phillies, the Brewers, the Dodgers, and the Braves.
Yeah.
They're all at least, I think, 10 games above 500. After that, you get the Cubs at 31 and 32, the Padres at 32 and 34, the D-backs at 30 and 33, the Giants at 30 and 33, the Reds at 30 and 33, the Cardinals at 29 and 32, and the Pirates at 29 and 33. So from the Cubs, the number 5 team, to the Pirates, the number 11 team. That's a 1.5 game difference.
Yep, crazy.
All the way through.
Crazy.
It's the National League of Mediocrity.
Yeah.
And joining us right now here on Ben and Woods, it's a Friday. It's a Cespedes Family Barbecue Friday presented by Grand Ole Barbecue. And there he is, our friend Jordan Schusterman from Cespedes Family Barbecue. Yahoo Sports is with us. This is as mid as we've seen a league in quite some time. Jordan, I assume you just heard my rundown of the very, very unimpressive standings.
We did just recorded our pod this morning, and on Friday we do the good, the bad, and the ugla in honor of Dan Ugla. And my bad this week was the National League. It was, I mean, that the Padres could go on this 5-game losing streak and still be in postseason position. That the Nationals, who are already not good, could go on a 4-game losing streak and be 3 games out of a postseason spot. Is, I mean, we had a version of this last year, but it wasn't this bad. And I am just, every week I've been tasked with doing the power rankings for Yahoo Sports this season. And I haven't done it every week, but it's going to pick up in regularity coming up. And man, you go through the first 10 or 11 teams and it's like, all right. And then it's like every team you rank feels way too high or way too low. But for the most part, it seems way too high. I'm like, I still ended up having of course, I put the Padres still at like 13 before they get swept by the Angels. But if I had to do it again today, I don't know how much I dropped them. I mean, man, like these other teams are so underwhelming too.
It is just, like Ben said, it's the battle of the mid. But you do have to, when you look at those teams that Ben just listed, some teams are going to get guys back. Some teams are going to get, guys are going to come back healthy. Guys are going to figure stuff out. They're going to make the adjustment, whatever, start hitting. You've seen Fernando Tatis on this insane streak. I mean, he starts going well. Some of the other guys that had been performing well, they start to go down a little bit. That's the nature of the game. We're all fairly used to that. But when you look at some of those middling teams right now, is there one, maybe two that jumps out to you that says, these guys will get it figured out?
I mean, the way I'm kind of looking, I think everything you said is totally fair. But this is, again, to tie it back to the Padres, I also think about it as, who is not going to sit on their hands and just hope that it gets better?
That's true.
And who has the pieces to go make a difference, right? And I think that the Arise trade being so early was a sign that not that that's exactly news that AJ Preller is going to try and make something happen. But of that middle tier, I've been around the Reds, of course, a lot the past few years. And, I think about what am I looking forward to? What am I seeing? Oh, this guy could come back. This could improve. And the Reds are a tough one. They're on this 5-game winning streak. 3 of those wins are in Colorado. I don't know if they have the pitching or offensive upside depth to kind of get back into that mix. I still feel like the Cubs are the most balanced of this group. And I think that their biggest weakness, as far as I'm concerned, which I think is the bullpen, is probably the easiest to address at the deadline. And then Arizona and San Francisco, man. Oh my gosh, I have no idea. But what's been going on with Jordan Montgomery is both disappointing and not totally shocking when you consider spring training apparently is pretty important for some pitchers. But that's another team where it's like there's a lot of underperformance and a lot of injuries on the mound. So I've been the one that's all that to say, I still believe in the Cardinals. I was the only person to pick the Cardinals in the NL Central. That was looking bad again for a month. They've started to turn it around. They have enough pieces where when they get healthy, especially on offense, I like to think the upside with that group is still pretty substantial. I think what Nolan Gorman has done recently has been really impressive. But guys, none of these teams are very good.
Yeah, I mean this is the weird thing about the Padres, though, Jordan. You mentioned the Cubs and the Reds as two teams. Yeah, that we've seen them 4 times. Padres won every single series against the Cubs and the Reds. So clearly the Padres are better than those teams. Except they're clearly also not better than those teams. The Padres and sometimes I feel like we're too close to it. But they're the team that it's hardest to make the sense out of. Last year, this year again. It's so hard to make sense out of the San Diego Padres. They have winning record against winning teams, a losing record against losing teams.
Are we like the Blue Jays of the West?
I made that comp earlier this season, actually. Now, the Blue Jays are also having a very tough season. I know they've bounced back the last couple of nights. They don't have the cushion, right? They're not able to say, well, our league stinks. Or at least they're not able to say our division is mid, right? In the same way.
Yeah.
It's, they're in it. Yep. They're in last, right? They're in last place, right? In the American League East, and they're still in it. They're still only, 3 games out of a postseason spot as well. There's less of a cushion there, and they're also at a minus 43 run differential. But I think, again, when you look at the names and you don't understand how it's computing to more wins, I agree with that. Guys, 13-20 at home. What is this? Is a new I don't remember this being a particular issue last year. No. Maybe it was, and I forgot.
No, they were okay at home. Not great, but not like this.
That's the thing where I'm looking at it. I mean that it has to be. I'm just looking at this quickly. Yeah, I mean it's a bottom 5 home record in baseball. So that's truly mystifying. That's the one that I'm really struggling to kind of wrap my mind around.
Talking to our pal Jordan Schusterman from Cespedes Family Barbecue. So you guys, we had this conversation about a year ago about that college Misericordia, right? And we had this convo. The Cougars in 20. Let's see. They get hit about 3 times per game, hit by pitches, and they teach their players to get dotted. They literally just teach them, like stand in there and wear it. They just won another championship, Jordan. I find this organization and team fascinating. Not that I would necessarily want to be like on the team because it wouldn't feel good all the time, but it's really wild this college baseball strategy that they have.
Yeah. So minor fact check there. They were in the World Series last year.
They're in it.
This is their first championship.
Oh, they won it. Okay.
They returned, and this is their first championship program history. But this has been, since I've been following D3 baseball closely for the last 10 years, one of the most successful programs. And so while it's easy to look at it, like, this is a circus. This is ridiculous. They just stand on the plate, they get hit, and that's how they get to the World Series. I mean, listen, anyone that knows anything about it, it's not that simple, but it is also indicative of the kind of program that this is. And every cliche you could possibly think of regarding the gritty and grinder guys that are getting the most out of not the big, they don't look like the guys coming off the bus where you're like, watch out, here comes Misericordia. They are that through and through, and they have now done this for almost 10 years. Head coach Pete Egbert has been an unbelievable, force behind this, but the hit by pitchers are no joke. And here they are again with 147 this year.
Wow.
Garrett McElhenney, who's kind of the face of their team, with another 30 this year, who I believe finished his 5-year career at Misericordia with well over 100 hit by pitches. Their 5'5" center fielder, leadoff guy. It's an amazing story. It is a hilarious. 92 for his career, 92 plunkings for his 5-year college career. But man, it's a really cool story. And as someone who cares about D3 sports, to see that team actually finally win it all instead of the team that they beat, for example, like Wisconsin Whitewater, who you look at their team and you're like, that looks like a D1 team.
Yeah.
Right?
Holy cow.
It's a little bit of a different vibe. But I was really excited to see the Cougars get it done this week.
Jordan, how much are we going to get shoved down our throat this weekend? Dodgers, Yankees.
Oh, yeah.
In the Bronx. I mean, Rob Manfred is probably praying that that'll be the World Series matchup. Shohei Ohtani,
Sure is.
Juan Soto. Yeah, I mean, the Yankees have been great, but Soto now has some injury concerns. And obviously the Dodgers have not been quite as good as they thought, even though Ohtani's been fantastic. This is what baseball secretly would really want, though, I'm assuming.
Is it secret?
I don't know if it's that secret.
Listen, Dodgers, and in this case, the Yankees have been the best team in baseball, right? So it's like it's hard to even there are some years where you have the big market matchups where you really roll your eyes because they're not actually one of the best. In this case, it's like, well, yeah. I mean, but to your point, I was in Pittsburgh this week. I was there for Skeens and Ohtani. Ooh. That was amazing. So cool. But I know they won. They put up a bunch of runs last night. But yeah, the Dodgers are very flawed. I still think they're going to win the division fairly comfortably, because I think their pitching is still excellent, and I think that the infrastructure and obviously the top of the lineup is still good enough to win, easily 90+ games.
And the other four teams in the division aren't that good.
Correct.
So there you go.
Correct, absolutely. So they're not exactly being. I think I was talking to Steven Nelson, one of their broadcasters yesterday. I believe that they're like roughly 500 over the last few weeks, and they've gained in the division.
They have. It's like the most embarrassing thing. They're 13-12 in their last 25, and they've picked up like 3 games or something. It's just mortifying.
So exactly.
Mortifying.
So no one really wants to push them. But as for this weekend, hopefully Juan Soto is healthy. I'm a little worried about the news we're going to get about that later today. But yeah, they've been everything you can hope. And while it's easy to roll your eyes, I know Jake will be definitely at a couple of those games, so he'll be providing the coverage that you guys will be rolling your eyes at. But I mean, come on, I'm excited to watch it too. It will be cool to see.
They're also going to give us a lot of the London series this weekend as well, correct? It's a Mets and Phillies in London, which is this. The NFL is doing it, so we better follow suit and do something the same, I guess.
Yeah. We've seen a couple versions of this. You guys shouldn't be surprised to hear that I'm always going to be in favor of baseball in different places.
Sure.
Because not just for the growth of the game, but because usually weird stuff happens.
Very
in the Mexico City series. But we talked about the show this morning. I think that Sunday game could get a little sloppy with the guys on the mound. So I'm excited to see. Hopefully put up some runs. We got some weird dimensions over there. In the stadium they're playing in.
Which stadium are they playing in?
A few years ago. Sorry, say it again.
What stadium are they playing in?
So they're playing where West Ham plays in London Stadium. So it's the same stadium where we had the Yankees Red Sox put up like 30+ combined runs. However, if you recall, that was in a juiced ball plus no pitch clock list. We're going to play for 5 hours. So at the very least, if we're going to squeeze in a bunch of runs, hopefully it'll take less than 5 hours.
I missed the juiced balls, something fierce, as Jake Cronenworth hit one last night that was compared to another home run with the exact same speed, the exact same launch angle, and that one went out, and Cronies didn't, and Toddy missed one in the 9th. I miss them. I know it sucks for pitchers, but I really miss juice balls. We are getting demolished home run wise at our home ballpark.
Yeah, and there was one of the funniest moments of the season earlier this week in Pittsburgh. Teoscar Hernandez launches a ball off Aroldis Chapman. I don't know if you guys saw
this. No, we saw it. The glove throw?
It was Chapman turns around and spikes his glove. Now, this is, I think, partially indicative of Chapman being a little bit of a loose cannon on the mound, to say the least. So, but again, it was one of those things, and Dave, I think Shelton or Dave Roberts said afterwards, which is that pitchers know when they give up home runs. They can tell.
Know.
Like they can feel it immediately. And so the fact that he thought it was a homer. Now that one was a little bit different because of the part of the park that it was hit to, but there were a couple this week in Pittsburgh. That's another one where the gaps are not particularly friendly to deep fly balls. But yeah, in San Diego, I can imagine you've had a few, and I think the evidence is pretty compelling. Hitting is hard enough now, and if balls are not traveling the way that they have been, forget 2017 and 2019. I mean,
sure.
that was ridiculous. But even 2 years ago, right, or even last year, or even it felt like we found a little bit more of a balance in terms of that stuff. And this year, listen, the numbers are the numbers. The balls are just not carrying quite as much.
Jordan, always a pleasure to chat with you. Have a good week, and we will talk to you again in a couple of weeks.
You see, Padres are going to go off this weekend, and you'll be back. You'll be right back on.
I sure hope so. We have not had
or
one.
should we measure ourselves? If they have a good week, should we go, let's not get too excited?
We
and
should.
Let's just
We should be measured.
Let's stay measured and calm about this team.
Doesn't sound like you guys.
Doesn't sound like us at all. You know us so well, Jordan.
Or our fan base. I get it.
You know us so well. Thanks, Jordan.
Appreciate you guys.
Jordan Schusterman, Cespedes Family Barbecue, and that is presented each week by our friends at Grand Ole Barbecue, North Park, Flint Springs, at the ballpark. Try their brisket.
Might
It's
get
the best
some
one in
tonight.
town.
Actually, I'll be at the yard. Get a
Good
little.
choice. I was going tomorrow, and I was thinking the other day.
Yeah.
Grand Ole sounds real
Me,
good.
I'm taking the fam tonight down to the game.
Yeah, you've got the fam in town from out of town.
And you know, my nephews are just they're huge Padres fans as well. They watch as many Padres games as they can. They've got all the City Connect. They all want to buy some merch, and hopefully we can deliver a win for my mom, my dad, and my nephews, my brother, my sister-in-law. Should be a fun night at the ballpark.
I was just looking at those the home run stats because just all of the balls that just seem to not being going over the fence for the Padres, but do go over the fence for the other team. It's a huge difference this season for the San Diego Padres, especially at Petco Park. Talk about that coming up. This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Prize Picks. Join the biggest moments in sports with Prize Picks. Pick your players, pick your stats, pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for details, and we'll be back after traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
You guys are creeps. Creeps. Ooh.
What would you guess that we were just talking about based on Woods' reaction?
Paulie and Ben just creep me out to no
I
end.
think
You
you're
guys are
weird-
just creepy.
Weird proclivities.
Oh, you're deviants.
Bedroom behaviors.
Oh.
No. Paul and I like the little cupped pepperonis on the pizza, and Woods thinks that is creepy.
It's the only way to go.
Just filled with grease. All of them, just like little cups of grease. When
So it
you
makes
eat
them
those
nice
things,
and crispy.
As opposed to other pizza that
Get
doesn't
all-
have a ton of grease.
No.
Get all
But
crispy.
you know what? It's not. It's not little ladles full
There's
of grease.
nothing-
It's grease
if-
on top. It's a
if you're-
glistening scene. You get one of those, fresh out of the oven, and there's your pizza with little tiny shot glasses of pepperoni.
Round Table,
and
by the
grease.
way, has really good. They're double pepperonis. They have both kinds on it, which is really good. Which reminds me, you can tune in every Thursday at 10 a.m. for 97.3 The Fans. Commercial-free Padres Roundtable featuring Ben and Woods, Annie and Elston, and Gwen and Chris, if Gwen shows up. Presented by San Diego Roundtable Pizza. For takeout or delivery, go to roundtablepizza.com. Roundtable, the last honest pizza. I am determined to create a feud between myself and Tony Gwynn Jr.
But why? He's like the nicest guy ever. And
Because I
he's
get the side
intimidating.
eye for every comment I make during the roundtable.
And he will beat.
Maybe he
your
was
ass.
maybe he was afraid of facing me after
I'm sure
a
that's what it
4-game
was.
losing streak yesterday.
I'm sure.
Don't
that's
know.
what it
He was
was.
on the game, so he got back in time, obviously.
Oh. Tony,
Just
I don't
saying.
want to be associated with him. And if I had to pick between you and him, I'm going with him. Like I want to be.
No, you've got to have my back. You've
That's
always
true.
said.
I always say that. I got to.
We go into the Rumble.
Okay. I mean, if you walk up to somebody and punch somebody in the face, I'm like, here we go. But if it's Tony Gwynn Jr., I don't want to jump in there.
I'm just like,
Yeah, Paulie just ducks away.
I'm not gonna punch him in the face. I use all my barbs are all verbal.
Yeah. Yes. We know. You don't say. What happened? Did he?
I don't know. I think even Adam was kind of expecting him there, and he just. I mean, he's been traveling a ton. I totally understand the grind.
Yeah, but they were in Anaheim.
But they were in Kansas City before
I
that.
get it,
And he's got a family. He's got kids.
I just like him there.
I do too.
I like
do
him.
too.
I like him with us
Absolutely.
on the roundtable because, well, he's the only one that I really put any stock in on this radio station. He's it. I'm sorry. Like, I don't even believe myself half the time, and I certainly don't believe you.
Yeah,
and
but I was listening to their show yesterday, and he was like nodding along with Matt Kemp's comments about the soft media in San Diego.
Well,
I'm
that's
going,
the-
what?
That's
Come on.
That's I think that's the player fraternity. I really do. I mean, those guys, they're a fraternity. And as much as we all want to think that they're not, they are. And I think he probably knows Matt Kemp too. Probably knows him very well, actually. And for him, what did he say exactly? Like,
Well,
Matt,
I mean,
Matt
you know
was
what?
right back then.
He said that, and he's not wrong. I mean, certainly the media in Philadelphia and New York is more hostile.
Sure,
they're going to ask more pointed maybe questions.
Sure.
Combative questions.
Combative, yeah.
And you get less of that here. And they actually pointed out the late T.J. Simers, who just passed away,
Yes.
was the one guy in Southern California. Started at the UT, went up to the L.A. Times, was their columnist. And I was at a few press conferences where he was at, and it can get very uncomfortable the way he asks questions. That's what you get other places.
Sure.
We don't try to make the. I would like to think we ask tough questions, but I do it in a way. I'm not trying to make the person I'm
Hate
talking to feel uncomfortable about it. I just want to get to the bottom of things. I just like a good, honest answer, but I'm not looking to pick a fight with the person I'm talking to. And in other markets, it almost as if the reporters are sometimes looking to pick a fight almost in asking their questions. I don't believe in that. It's a different style. But, he agreed with that. Now, they didn't really address Matt Kemp's other part of it, which was he would have played better had the media been
Tougher
holding
on
him more accountable.
Yeah, and honestly, like that's the part I didn't like at all. Like that was my whole basis. It wasn't. I didn't take offense, and I mean, like I said, I was playing music at that time, but the thing of like, man, nobody asked me why I was terrible, and so I had to go somewhere else where they did. That doesn't make any sense to me as a grown man making $20 million a year. Isn't that motivation enough? Isn't being in the locker room,
having to look in the eyes of your teammates and knowing you're letting them down not enough? You need someone in the media to point it out for you?
We beat the crap out of ourselves at fantasy camp when we boot one, or if I give up 9 runs, which is like every fantasy camp. I'm inconsolable, and so that's the part for me that really bugged me, of like, you don't need any, if you need any extra motivation, then that's not the mentality that you want to have as a professional athlete, in my opinion. I've never been a professional athlete, but I've been a professional radio host, and that's always been my mentality. I don't need Adam to kick me in the ass to get me in gear. It doesn't make any sense to me. So
I do think that you have to understand, though, that there are a lot of professions, including this one, where you can simply work harder and have more success. You just put in more time, more preparation, you outwork the other guy, and that's going to pretty much carry the day. But baseball is not.
But it's not.
Is not always one of those.
And I understand.
You cannot work your way out of a slump. You cannot just work harder to get out of a losing streak. It doesn't work that way in baseball all the time.
No, I mean, if you're
not that they don't work hard, they do.
If you're not pitching well, maybe the last thing you want to do is go out and throw. I'm going to go out and throw 300 pitches today until I get it right. No, you can't do that. I'm not hitting well.
You can overswing in the batting
That's
cage.
the thing. I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna take 300 swings today. It works for some guys. It doesn't work for others. Vijay Singh used to hit 5,000 golf balls a day, or 1,000, or something, some ridiculous number.
Oh yeah, he was an insane range rat.
Not everybody can do that, right? Their body won't physically allow them.
And then there was Bruce Litsky, who never practiced at all.
That's crazy, man. Crazy.
I mean, it's definitely in sports. You have to be dedicated to your craft for the most part and be a hard worker. But when things aren't going well, working harder is not always the solution. In fact, it rarely is the solution.
It's working smarter, knowing it's trial and error. It's a lot of trial and error for these guys. They talk about it. I know what my body needs. I know what it doesn't need. Mookie Betts is going through this right now in LA. He's in a 1 for 25, I believe, and that's very rare for a guy of Mookie Betts' caliber and ability, right?
So I'm guessing Bill Plaschke has him in a headlock after the game. Come on, figure it out. Be better.
They're saying essentially that, well, the common man, the sports are, well, it's because he's working so hard at moving to shortstop. And Mookie came in and goes, that's not it. He goes, I feel like I'm 21, 22 years old again. My body feels great. My mind feels great. I'm just not hitting. And I think it's frustrating for us. And I'm sure not for us. I hope he goes 1 for 160. But for the LA media is, well, clearly it's because you're, moved to short. And he's like, that's not it. That is not it at all. We like to spin narratives. We like to guess, have hypotheses about what's going on. Sometimes you're just not hitting. You're not seeing it well. Not seeing it out of his hand. Bat path is messed up. Whatever it is. And that's the hard part about this game, I really think so.
And then you specifically get into situations like hitting with runners in scoring position. All right. As a fan, obviously it's because you can't handle pressure. You got something in your mind. You can't handle pressure. There's no way you got to the big leagues without the ability to handle a little bit of pressure.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden, one day, 5 years, 10 years into your career, if you're Manny Machado, you just forgot how to handle pressure. It doesn't really make sense when you think about it. That can't be the explanation. Why aren't you hitting with runners in scoring position this last week? Right. Don't know. It's one of those things. It's not necessarily a lack of effort. It's not necessarily not working hard enough.
Yeah.
But something. Who knows the answer? Maybe Mike Shildt does. He's going to join us coming up at 9 o'clock with the manager's report. Before then, we'll get a little early Ryle report headlines with Paulie. Coming up next.
A lot of reports.
Everything's a report. Reporting for duty, Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Never did get into those home run numbers, but I was looking. I was actually surprised they haven't been out-homered by more. Padres have been out-homered 72-60 by their opponents, which offsets the fact that they have they've out-hit their opponents by about 20 points average-wise. They've struck out more than 100 times less than their opponents. Yeah. They've walked more than their opponents. I mean, that's generally, as Mike Shildt will tell you and has told us, those are formulas for winning baseball. When you are getting on base and you're hitting for a better average than the teams you are playing directly against on that day, that usually turns into a win. But somehow, like the last 5 days when the Padres have gotten great pitching performances and have out-hit their opponents, they're still turning them into losses. 5 straight. First time in baseball history that a team has turned in 5 consecutive quality starts while out-hitting their opponent and lost every single game.
You don't want to be on the wrong side of those stats. You don't want to, like the Chicago White Sox just set a franchise record, 14 straight. They lost last night. But then again, if you're a White Sox fan, did you have any expectation that it was going to be different this year? I know your general manager told you, no, we'll be able to compete in a weak division. Though the division, for once, in the Central is not weak at all right now. So I think, you expect that if you're a Chicago White Sox fan. You did not expect that from the San Diego Padres. And the one thing that we were worried about with Joe and you going down was, can we weather the storm pitching-wise? And we've more than weathered the storm in the last 5 days. The guys have pitched their asses off. And offense has let them down. Base running's let them down. Defense has let them down.
Now, like with the White Sox, 3 of those losses are by 1 run.
Yeah.
A couple more are by 2 runs, but they also have gotten bodied 14-2.
Yeah, still L's.
12-5. They're still L's, 7-2. None of the Padres' losses have been.
It doesn't matter.
They've all been games they could have won.
But they're all L's.
It makes it much worse.
It does, yeah. It actually makes
it much worse. Again, I think sometimes people read into Ben as
being positive when you're not.
Positive when I'm really illustrating how much more painful it is to lose 5 games by a total of 6 runs. Honestly, remember when the Padres lost to the Marlins and they got bodied? It was way easier to flush that one.
Sure.
Than these last 5.
Sure.
That was just a cruddy game. But it was an outlier, and that was when Mike Shildt goes, that's an outlier. That game was an outlier. Padres don't get bodied that often. They've had like 3 games this season where I felt like, just had a bad game. The Dodgers have had more games this year where they have just been smoked and just had a bad game than the Padres have had.
But again, like we talked about, you're able to flush those easier with a nice 8-game cushion or whatever it is, and a 10 games over 500, 12 games over 500. Yeah, those are very doable.
So when Mike Shildt says the Padres compete, in a way they do about as well as anybody, because they don't have that many games where they just have no shot. The problem is they lose way more of the games where you feel like they had it, they should have had it, they could have had it, than other teams that are above 500 right now, and that is ridiculously frustrating. Ridiculously so.
Yeah, no question.
All right, we'll talk to the manager at the top of the hour. Ryle report coming up after a check of traffic. First, though, this hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by the San Diego County Fair. Share your memories from the 50s to the 90s for the Let's Go Retro Photo Contest at the San Diego County Fair. Your winning photo could win Best of Show and a VIP Fair Access Package plus a $500 Visa gift card. Entry deadline June 9th. Learn more at sdfair.com. Back after traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Robert Half. When anyone out there on the roads is enjoying the ride, we're really not showing any problem spots at this time. Everything's running pretty smoothly out of the South Bay. East County ride checks out nicely. No delays coming down from the North County. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Robert Half research indicates 9 out of 10 hiring managers are having difficulty hiring. Robert Half is here to help. Our recruiting professionals use proprietary AI to connect businesses with highly skilled talent. At Robert Half, we know talent. Visit roberthalf.com today.
And get things started here with our today's edition of the Ryle Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Ryle Report with Paul Rindle.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Rindle Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a oh yeah? Oh yeah.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
The Rindle Report brought to you by Frozen Ropes. Don't miss out on a free session in the batting cages this Sunday, June 9th from 12 to 4. See the facilities, meet the staff, and sign up for their summer league. Visit San Diego Frozen Ropes.com. You guys were just talking about the Red Sox handing the White Sox their 14th straight loss. That is a franchise record in Chicago there. Boston won 14-2.
They're losing it, man. They are losing it. The post-game show with Ozzy, yeah.
Thank you for that.
God.
Lead in, yes. Let's start with, first of all, we'll go to the end of the game. This was the broadcast with 2 outs in the 9th. Final out is made. And Steve Stone made a prediction.
Yes.
And the Red Sox take game 1 in this 4-game series 14-2 as the White Sox now have the longest single-season losing streak in team history.
Yeah, well, you can put that 14 up there because it's going to stay there because Garrett Crochet wins tomorrow. That's the way this series goes, by the way. Red Sox win the first one. White Sox win the second one. Then they'll worry about 3 and 4 when they get there. But that's the guy that's going to end it tomorrow. It'll stay at 14. In the meantime, long turnaround. Get your rest. Nice to be back at the ballpark.
That is
calling a shot.
Trying to speak something into existence with all your heart right there.
Steve Stone's been around the game long enough to know that that's not how it works. But hey,
played
listen,
golf with Steve Stone once.
I always got the sense when I was little that I didn't like him. Like when I watched him on TV, I go, I don't think I like him. He sounds like a jerk. Was he?
I had a decent time. I mean, Randy Jones was in the foursome as well.
That's
and
fun.
He's a good golfer. But yeah, there's something about Steve Stone.
Something about him. And now he's working with that other guy, the new guy. Ugh, I don't know.
Feels like he used to be the Cubs analyst.
Yes.
Feels like you get demoted to the White Sox.
100%, man. You just turned into a bigger jerk. Good Lord.
Well, then after the game, they go to their studio for the post-game show, and Chuck Garfien, I don't know him, but he had this to say, a little snippet here.
The losing post-game shows are always the most entertaining. We guarantee you this will be more entertaining than the game you just watched. That is coming up next.
Than the game you just watched.
The shaving game you just watched?
Wow. You got to be shaving me. It's great. It's great. Nothing like a 14 gamer. Boy, I hope we don't get there.
And they're announcing what? They're shopping stars now.
Yep.
Yeah. Luis Robert Jr. officially on the block.
Taking calls for Luis Robert.
He's expensive.
Yeah.
Pricey.
And has not played a lot this year.
Running low on time, so before I get to my third story, I do just want to give a shout out to Doris Burke. She made history yesterday on the NBA Finals. She became the first woman analyst for a major men's championship event ever. She's been on, this is her 12th NBA Finals assignment, but she's been on the sidelines. She was on the actual broadcast as the color commentator with Mike Breen, who's just the best. And then JJ Redick as well. JJ Redick gave her flowers after the show on with Scott Van Pelt, but definitely wanted to make note of that. And finally, the end of an era is today. Pat Sajak making his final show as host of Wheel of Fortune after 40 years.
God, I bet he's happy.
40 years he's been doing that job, and he is calling it a career. Got some clips here. First, we will start with Vanna White had a very emotional message for Pat Sajak.
I can't believe that tomorrow is our last show together. I don't know how to put into words what these past 41 years have meant to me, but I'm going to try. 8,000 episodes went by like that. When I first started, I was so green. You made me so comfortable and made me so confident, Pat. You made me who I am. You really did. As the years have gone by, we've grown up on television, but we've also shared so much more behind the scenes. And as much fun as we had on camera, those memories, milestones, and life events we shared with our families outside the studio are my favorite. We've watched our children grow up together. We've traveled all over the world. We've eaten hundreds of meals together. We've laughed. We've cried. We've celebrated. Oh, gosh. What an incredible and unforgettable journey we've had.
Sweet angel.
And I've enjoyed every minute of it with you. As this chapter of our lives is coming to an end, I know you'll still be close by. You're like a brother to me, and I consider you a true lifelong friend who I will always adore. I love you, Pat.
Sounds like he's on his deathbed.
How great was that?
Get that speech to Hannah, because I want her to repeat that to me when I'm on my deathbed. I would like except take out brother. You've been like a brother to me. Well, that was
would be
very weird.
As
Number one.
as our two kids are here.
As our children are here. I want her to say that exact thing to me as I'm slipping off into the ether.
And then
never to be back.
Pat Sajak also had his farewell message. The final episode is tonight, but he did release this message yesterday. We'll see how it compares to what Woods, if this was something you would say after Hannah gave that sweet, sweet speech to you.
Time has come to say goodbye. I have a few thanks and acknowledgments before I go. And I want to start with all of you watching out there.
This is me on my deathbed.
It's been an incredible privilege to be invited into millions of homes.
Hundreds.
Night after night,
Like
year after year.
40. Morning after
decade
morning.
after decade. And I've always felt that the privilege came with a responsibility to keep this daily half hour a safe place
4
for
hours.
family fun.
5 hours on
No
Thursday.
social issues, no politics, nothing embarrassing, I hope.
Well.
Just a game. But gradually it became more than that. A place where kids learn their letters, where people from other countries hone their English skills, where families came together along with friends and neighbors and entire generations. What an honor to have played even a small part in all that.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for allowing me into your lives.
Us. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could. It still works very much.
Do you think anyone learns anything from our show?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, good.
I mean, I learned a lot from the tier ones. I've learned a lot. But I do think they learn things.
Good.
Yeah.
I never thought about Wheel of Fortune being a vehicle to help kids learn their letters.
Me
and
neither, actually.
Immigrants learn English, but it makes perfect sense.
It does.
It does.
That's a
And
good show.
By the way, Vanna, amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, they showed some pictures of her from 40 years ago, and
she was amazing then.
Today,
Amazing
and
today. Yeah.
Not that different.
No.
She's done a nice job all those years.
She's very creepy right now. Very, very creepy. Very.
Oh my God. I did get the sense in the last few years that Pat was starting to maybe grow weary of some of the contestants and some of their silly answers and stuff. I saw some eye rolls.
It's a long time to do it.
It is.
We're 6 years together, and my eyes are rolling the back of my head on a daily basis. People are defending bunting, so I don't know what to do about it. I'll ask the skipper about it next.
It's going to be an interesting conversation coming up.
I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I always like talking to Shildt.
This week you went on a very passionate rant where you said this is on the players, not on the skipper. You believe that,
and
too.
it's. I will always believe in the skipper needs to push some right buttons, certainly, and he'll make some decisions. He's got to be able to live with those decisions. But it's all about execution for me, and it really always has been. I find myself liking certain managers. I find myself being rubbed the wrong way by certain managers. These last 4 that we've had here, I don't put any of the blame on them. None. Zero. I've questioned decisions, but I don't blame them. I blame the players, man, and I always will. Those are the guys that actually go out between the lines, got to square the baseball up, got to deliver, got to turn the double play, catch the fly ball, hit the cutoff man. It's them.
Now, some managers were given.
Does the manager get blamed for other people's
Other people's
responsibilities?
actions?
If you're a sales guy and you forgot to file a report, that's not your manager's fault. That's your fault.
They're just such easy targets. It's a thankless job. I completely will always believe that, unless you win a World Series.
Now we will chat with the skipper, Mike Shildt, his team on a 5-game losing streak. Final hour of Bennett Woods coming up next year on 97.3 The Fan. Go away. We're back. Final hour of Ben and Woods on a Friday morning, getting ready for the weekend. Woodsy heading out to the game tonight.
Yes.
And I've got to say, I do really appreciate the fact that win or lose, good week or rough week, like it's been for the San Diego Padres, that we get the manager on every Friday morning.
Yep.
To talk to him, to see what's going on. Our manager's report, as always, is brought to you by San Diego County Credit Union. It's not big bank banking, it's better. And we thank the skipper of the San Diego Padres, Mike Shildt, for joining us again this morning. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning. How we doing?
Good.
We're emotional fans. We're a wreck.
I hear you.
We're a wreck.
I get it, man.
You know, we were talking on our roundtable yesterday and this morning. It's a post from Bill James, the Red Sox stats guru. He said, fans of a 500 team overreact to every win and loss. A good team, you know you can't win them all. A 100-loss team, you get used to it. But a 500 team, emotionally, you're just as good as the last 24 hours. And I don't know. Are you sensing that maybe is what's going on here in San Diego? Just we can't handle these swings, every week and every other week. What's happening with your team right now?
I can't speak for that, but it makes sense to me.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah, that's how it kind of goes.
I get it.
Well, and I was thinking about it too. Talking to Mike Shildt here on Ben and Woods this morning. I got two little boys, and I always tend to see the good in them, even when they do things that I'm not in favor of. Skip, and I always look for the good in what they're doing. I know you're the same way with your team and your guys. All right, I'll flip it on you and ask you, what is it about your team that maybe, I don't know, driving you crazy like my kids do to me sometimes as well?
I understand the question. I get it completely. I'm not a rose. Look, I tend to end on a positive scale. I tend to give people benefits of doubt.
Sure.
I recognize how hard this game is. I mean, that question kind of sets me up a little bit. I get it. I don't know what you want me to tell you. I'm not going to go full metal jacket on anybody because I don't have to.
Sure.
But the other thing is, I wouldn't. You'll get to know me. Look, I'm never going to air anybody out on anything publicly. But the thing is, right now, there's nobody to air out. There's nothing. I lose sleep out of frustration for our group and the people that are listening. That is sincere. Those emotions that people are feeling and the frustration, I get it. I understand it completely. I would lose sleep if I had a group of guys and I alluded to it last night, and again, we're both, your analogy's accurate. Look, I love these guys, and love can be blind, but I've done this a while.
Yeah.
And, fortunately I've had a lot of teams that are similar to this, thankfully, or otherwise I wouldn't have this job. And that being a group of guys that, have really grown into, not only in some cases grown, in some cases just, and actually in most cases the best version of themselves we're getting every day. I have the privilege of being able to walk in the clubhouse and see how people go about their business, staff, players, and then I have the privilege to be in a dugout, which I've been in since I was 8 years old, and recognize what appropriate preparation and effort is. And so, and I've, over the course of, the 100 years I've done this, it feels like, which is great, and I want 100 more, recognize when it's not right.
Yeah.
And have a responsibility to address it. But there's nothing on my list every day that goes, man, this is a huge red flag. The fact of the matter is 5 days ago, we'd have had this conversation. We'd be like, club's looking great.
100%.
Here we go. And granted, I can't erase 5 days. Wouldn't try. Actually, I probably wouldn't last 5 days, to be honest with you. But then we go out and play, get 5 quality starts in a row, out-hit our opponent, lose 5 games. You want to start to point a finger at somebody? I don't know. You want to feel like you need to blame somebody? Blame me. Do what you got to do. But there's nothing glaring that says this club isn't doing this, and this to put themselves in a position to win. We just aren't getting it done. We're not hitting with runner in scoring position. We're not getting a big hit. We're not syncing up our pitching and our hitting. enough. We've gotten the good pitching, as I mentioned. Randy did a nice job of settling down and getting into the seventh, and we gave it up immediately. So, long answer to your question, but that's what I got for you.
No, and the question was not meant to be a setup. It was more like when I watch the team, the thing that has probably frustrated me as a fan the most is base running, because running into outs just kills you. And, getting picked off, leading the major leagues and guys getting picked off.
That's real.
And I know you want them to be aggressive. I do. But Jerks and Profar also said, we've got a skipper that lets us just play baseball. Is there a time for you, or has that time already come where you're like, I got to clamp this down because running into outs is hurting us more than it's helping us right now?
Yeah, no, that part's. I mean, I get it. I gotta own up for that. The reality of that is, though, and I appreciate the quote from Pro. It means a lot. I want guys to feel that way. I also want people to appreciate it from my lens. Is there is a trust factor. I've said this and done it and been a part of it at basically every level, and won championships or been a part of an organization or team that's won championships. And those championships really take place regardless of level in the identity of a club. And what I'm getting at is championship players think and do for themselves. They just do. Now you say, well, what's your job, dude? What are you doing? Sitting back and, just hanging out?
Just letting them run wild.
Yeah, no. The job actually, for that to really work, is a partnership with the players and a work that takes place on a daily basis. Now, that's our job. We love it. That requires hours of preparation from a staff to boil down something that is simple and actionable for the players to be aware of, for us to work on, and then they own it and then go play. And there is freedom in that. And so when you have that structure, you have that partnering, you have that preparation, it allows you to go out and play free and make aggressive but also good decisions. Now, I feel like other than the last, 5 days or so, we've done that very, very well. The last 5 days, I feel like we've made decisions because, and this is another trait that I think is positive, but I'm not alibying, the mistakes. I'm not. I'm just trying to explain from my chair the genesis of them. Is that when you got a group of guys that care and care factor's high, and that's the thing that people listening and what you alluded to, and by the way, I don't mind you asking the question earlier. I'm just sharing my thoughts.
Sure.
You can ask whatever you want. I'm a grown man. I'll cry later. But it gets magnified. My point being is when you have a group that has a high care factor, just like people listening, just like people frustrated, and, who's to say how people react? Not my gig, but that's the point of it, is when you have a care factor that is that high from a playing group, and maybe in certain circumstances, they're looking to do things to make things happen because they're like, man, we want this. And then they err on the side of aggression to do it. That's actually a good trait. It's a good trait. Because have you ever seen teams that don't have that trait, that don't have a high care factor consistently, that aren't pushing the envelope, aren't trying to make things happen?
Sure.
Those teams aren't real fun to watch. And I can tell you what, I've not been on any of them for a long period of time. Those are the teams that have issues. And those are the times when you ask me the first question that you say, hey, we got to figure this out because we're not providing an effort level and we're not pushing it and we're not learning. And there's one of the last things is, last two things, you also, in another big leaguers, but you learn what that looks like. You learn from that aggression, you learn from that mistake, and then we move on. And there you go. And then the last one is, once you have that environment where players can think and do for themselves, which we have, and you trust the IQ of their players, I don't know if there's a person on this call that doesn't want to go and allow themselves to go to their place of employment or to have a relationship in their personal lives that they can't be trusted. They want to be trusted, and they want to be free and allow themselves within parameters to be themselves. And when you have that, you have some pretty good things. Now, the last 5 days, who the heck is happy about that dons the brown and yellow?
Mike Shildt, the manager of the Padres, is with us. Good stuff as always. Now, you said it's not time to go full metal jacket. You did go at least partial metal jacket on Eric Bacchus last night. And I know you're not going to blame umpiring for a loss. That's not your style. The call was atrocious. It's unacceptable for a game to end that way. I just kind of want to ask you, so when you go out there, you know the game's over, and they're not going to change the call. Does what you say to the umpire, do you hope that maybe it leaves an impression for the next day? Is that kind of to just make sure you know the players that you've got their backs? What's kind of the thought process in your mind when a game ends like it did last night?
I haven't had many games in like that, and to your point, like we went 1 for 14 with runners in scoring position. We had chances to not even be in that position, not have to even be in the bottom of the ninth. So we got to start there. We got to accept our role in it. That being said, look, like I said last night, I respect the umpiring profession highly. I grew up clubhouse kid, shining umpire shoes and doing their uniforms for 6 years, and I also got to see and live, with those guys right after games in the clubhouse down at Old Crockett Park. The umpires room was right by the visiting clubhouse. They actually, get this set up. They had to walk through the visiting clubhouse to get to their locker room, which was right next to it. And I'd come down after doing a scoreboard, and not every night, but enough. And that was, a little different era too in the early '80s, mid '80s. And dudes be beating on the door, managers, players, kicking to the door, trying to get in. I had to, lock the door. And so, man, it's a rough existence, man. But that being said, gosh darn, you end a game on a call like that. Crony's, down 0-2. Pro grabs the bag with 2 strikes with a base hit away from tying the game. We got Suarez. Feel pretty good about life, being able to, grab that one and, give us the best chance. And you don't ever want to take the game away from the players on the field. After the game, what do you say? Heck, during the game, I was doing my best to try to get his attention, and I couldn't yell any louder. I was like, man, I know this dude can hear me, and he just wouldn't. He just ignored me. So after the game, what do? You got them, on the field shaking hands. It's like at that point, damage is done. You tell them what you think in a few words that we can't repeat, and then that's it. But man, that was a bad way to end the ball game.
No question about it. Talking to Mike Shildt here on Ben and Woods this morning, and I talked earlier about it in the show today, Skipper, that when I'm watching a team that's scuffling right now and had dropped at the time 4 in a row, and I'm watching Pro lay down a bunt to play for a tie in the 5th, and the Merrill bunt. I know you talked about it in your post game after, but am I crazy? From my perspective is, it feels like pressing. It feels like an unconfident team, and you guys have shown the ability to string hits together a bunch of times this year and score multiple runs. I don't know. I'm not saying I necessarily don't understand it. I just wonder, is that the best way that you guys thought this is the best way we can win this ball game tonight? Because with the pickoff of Toddy and then 2 bunts given away, that's 3 outs given away out of 27, and that's the one I was kind of scratching my head at last night.
Yeah, man. Listen, all due respect, you're going to ask me a tough question when it comes back to you.
Sure.
You watch us play this year, right?
Yes.
Okay. How many big innings of those innings have you started have worked through bunts? And the thing about the bunt is it's very polar because
it is.
It's so polar because there's so many people that love the fact that we play small ball and we've won, and the small things lead to big things. It's a mentality that says, especially when you're not scoring. All right. So yeah, and you can say, well, you're giving up an out, you're not scoring. What's the logic there? But if you look and go back to a lot of our bigger innings, there's a bunt involved.
I love the bunt for hit. I love it. I think it's great. And like Wadey's done a great job at it, and certain guys have dropped him down, I think, in really good situations. It's just when I watch it, I'm going, gosh, I hope it doesn't come back to hurt us later by giving up and out, to another pretty good big league team. And I know we tied the game there in the fifth. My thing is I don't. Desperate's not the right word. It's pressing.
That's not even close to the right word.
Yeah, pressing is just kind of how I look at it.
No, I don't. But I don't understand that. I mean, I understand you can debate whether you should or shouldn't, but pressing, like, that's fundamental base. Like, we tied the game and it wasn't good enough for you. Like, we put ourselves in a position to tie the game again. Now you say, well, but at home, you typically play for the win. Or the tie, rather. Not all the time, but because you have that opportunity. On the road, you typically may play for the win a little bit more. That's not an absolute, but that goes back to baseball 101. At least the way I was raised.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
that's what I was going to say.
Can I step in here because I think I want to moderate this. I think Woods is so confident in what Pro's done at the plate and what Jackson Merrill has done at the plate, just putting good balls and line drives in play.
That's where
he's just from. Like, I want to see more. I want to see more swings from those guys.
I look. You got the easiest job in the world.
Yeah,
100%.
It's all hindsight.
But here's the only thing I'll say to you. I don't want to get in this big debate about it.
There's no doubt.
I really don't. I didn't, really not what I want to do here, but at all. But as far as desperate, that's a strong word, cuz the guy's just trying to get a bunt down to move a runner to try to put him in a position to tie a game or win a game, because two guys moved over. So there's nothing desperate or panicky about it. I mean,
and Woods said that was not the right word. He admits
not the right
that
word.
wasn't. He said pressing. I think pressing is something that happens when people care a lot, and I agree with you, Mike, that your team cares a ton.
But we'll just look, we can go round and round. I don't feel it to be pressing or not. I mean, again, you can have an opinion about it. That's fine. You can have an opinion about it being pressing. I'm just telling you my opinion.
Okay.
Bring me on here for my opinion.
That's great.
And we appreciate it. All right, last thing, because I want to end, because you do have some really good positives going on. With two of your top pitchers out, you have had guys step up and deliver really solid starting pitching performances. You got Fernando Tatis Jr., who just got 8 hits in a row, doing some amazing things. Even with the losses, there were some good things this week that I'm sure you want to highlight.
Yeah, I mean, I always want to highlight them. It's refreshing to be able to talk positive, but look, we lost 5 in a row. We're not been good enough. I take the blame for it. Guys have stepped up in Joe and Yu's, absence, and Manny's down now, and of course Bogey's been out, and we got to continue to figure out a way to find solutions. And guys step up, and Randy Vasquez stepped up big time. Major was great the other night. It was nice to have a Padre homegrown combination with Campy and Major. The battery of the night over in LA, and so there's some positives, and there's a ton of positives. That's why I'm completely confident in this group in the long term, but I don't know what else to tell you.
You're a good man. We appreciate it as always. Thank you for your time. Good luck tonight against the Arizona Diamondbacks. We know this is going to turn around sooner rather than later. Appreciate it, Skip.
All right, yeah.
Thanks, Skip.
I'm completely confident in myself.
All right, appreciate you.
Good stuff from manager Mike Shildt on our manager's report, brought to you by the San Diego County Credit Union. It's not big bank banking. It is better.
It's like me.
Got a little tense there for a second.
I'm good. That was like me arguing with my wife at home, dude. I'm going to start calling people cuz, though, because I really like that. I mean, I thought that was fun. I like a spirited debate. It was fun.
Absolutely.
It was great.
Absolutely. He's not going to back down.
No.
Certainly not to us.
No.
I know that. I
want you guys to call me cuz from
and
now
I
on,
appreciate that he understands what our job is.
For sure.
And we know what his job is, and that's why it's my favorite segment of the week. We'll talk about it more when we come back after traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
Chat's on fire right now.
It's like a war zone right now.
I like people just copying and pasting their comments, bashing us or Adam or the station or whoever else, and then just copying and pasting from like 12 different accounts. Like that's going to make a difference.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you can like somebody took a shot at my kids. That's over the line.
We heard a little bit of a different tone from Mike Shildt there. Now, still, positive things are going to turn around.
Desperate, that's a strong word, cuz.
I love it. I had so much fun talking to Mike Shildt just now.
That's a strong word, cuz.
And desperate might be a strong word, but it's also in the same ballpark, I think, as pressing. When you're pressing, aren't you desperate for a hit? Aren't you when you're pressing? If you're in sales and you're pressing, aren't you desperate for a sale?
Well, here's the thing:
or a win, or whatever.
You can't hit the Padres both ways.
They can't hear us, Paulie. Nobody can.
If you think they don't care, then the problem is not that they're so desperate to make something happen that they're pressing. Because only teams that really want to win and really care are going to press and get desperate. A team that doesn't really care, they'll just go up and swing for the fences and take their hacks.
And I will tell you,
they're not going to go up there and try to lay down a bunt and do something different because they want to win. So you can't kill them both ways. You can criticize like you did. You don't want to give up outs by bunting. But you can't then say, oh, and this team has no heart and they don't care, they don't want to win.
Which I've never said that.
No, you haven't. And I disagree with the fans who say that.
I have never said, I don't think I've said this year, I think one game, I'm like, you guys didn't show up. You didn't look like you didn't want to be there. And we all know what game it was. It was against the Marlins. And you had a chance to sweep and you didn't. And it felt like you didn't show up. But I have never once thought, that they don't care. I really don't. I don't feel that way about most professional teams, and we've covered this team for a long time, day in, day out. There's been moments that San Diego Padres have absolutely phoned it in. Phoned it in. 21? Bro, phoned it in. This year, I don't feel that way. I feel like one game, sure. But desperate is probably, that's probably not the right word. And I tried to clarify and pressing, pressing for a win, pressing to make something happen.
Well, last year, players
playing
said
for a tie.
We started pressing during the season. And this week, in particular, has felt the most like the 2023 Padres.
Yeah.
The close losses, the lack of hits with runners in scoring position. Last year, the problem was pressing a lot of the season. And that's what it felt like a little bit this week. So I agree with you. I agreed with Mike Shildt when he said, absolutely 100% true. You don't want to be the team that just goes station to station and never plays aggressively. That's not a good brand of baseball to watch, and he doesn't want to be that team. So he doesn't want to put handcuffs on his guys. I'm glad you brought up the Profar quote. That was good. He responded to that well. But he did also acknowledge that you can't lead the league in getting picked off.
No.
He said that we can't do that. That's clearly something that needs to be addressed and fixed. And I promise you that there's being discussions about it. It's not simply being ignored and everyone going, no, keep doing exactly what you're doing, guys. This is Padres baseball. Reckless, reckless on the base paths. That's not what he wants.
And honestly, when I asked him to think, and it's so true, we all do this of our kids and our spouse. I'm sure our spouses do it of us. They look for the best in us, and forgive the worst. But there are things that drive my wife crazy about me, but she sees the best in me. And I think what I wanted him to say there was it was a perfect time for him to say, yeah, the base running's making me insane. Like, that's it. Base running drive me crazy. The runners in scoring position thing, it drives you crazy, but it's not a lot you can do about it. You trust the guys that you send up to have a good AB, and for the most part, they did, and so
that stuff happens.
That stuff happens. You're going to have...
If you don't have guys in scoring position, that's a bigger problem.
Correct.
I mean, the tough part, I think, is if you had to name, Woods, who's the best base runner on the Padres?
You're not going to like my answer.
It's the guy who got picked off last night, I think.
Yeah. And the other one, I know he's also been picked up this year. Man, he's a really smart base runner.
Really smart.
Very smart. And but there's certain guys that are on the base pass, and you're like, Please just get him around. Please hit one in the gap. I want him Cadillacing this one home.
And we talked in the roundtable. Ha-Seong Kim,
a bit
maybe
reckless
not, maybe
sometimes.
not the best base runner out there.
But his base
got
running
good speed.
value is so high, but he runs into a lot of outs, and we run into more outs.
But Tatis, I mean, if I'm Mike Shildt, you can't say anything to that guy. He's been one of your most dynamic base runners for years.
Yeah.
He makes so many good instinctual decisions. He read something at second base where he thought he's had something on the pitcher, and I've got third easily, and he got fooled. I mean, maybe the pitcher did something differently that threw him off. Something that does happen in a baseball game, in a situation like that, when you're trying to take third, get there with one out, so you can score that run. Try to tie the game, whatever, take the lead at that juncture. It does happen in baseball games. It's just happened a lot lately for the Padres, which is frustrating, especially for fans, and I would imagine for the manager as well. Even if he's not going to directly say that, yeah, he knows, and he said he can't lead the league in getting picked off.
I mean, that was the question. That's really what the point of that. I wasn't trying to trick him, but it's okay to say no. Some of the things these guys are doing are making me insane, because we all know they're making us insane too. But yeah, I mean, and I think once when I pressed them on it and said, well, it's obviously it's a base running. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's can't lead the league in that. So yeah, I'm not a gotcha guy, man. I'm not going to try to trick him, but framing it that way of I do the same thing with my kids all the time. Doesn't mean they don't drive me nuts and do bad stuff.
I think Rafa has the perfect. He says, Woodsy asked a hard question. Mike showed some fire, answered the best way he could. It was great content.
I had so much fun with that. I really did. It was really fun.
That's a strong word, cuz.
When the manager calls you cuz, that is really something else. It's really something else. Never been called cuz before.
Never?
Never.
In Texas even?
Never.
It was a North Carolina thing.
Never. Cuz.
We'll take a last time out. We'll come back. We missed it last week, so I got to make sure I save some time for things Ben likes, because we need some things that are good in the world right now. You know that I see a lot of good in the world. That's coming up to wrap things up next with Ben Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
Yeah, we got to make sure we save some time here, Benjamin, because we missed this last week. I was very disappointed. I had vomit rising in my throat, and I really needed the likes.
You needed that segment to save you.
I did. I was legitimately vomited after the show.
What was the cause of that? Did we ever determine why you were so nauseous at the end of last week?
I was sick all week, and then I had way too much coffee. I was broadcasting from home. It was like an oven in there. My kids were running. Anxiety was like pinging. And then we got off the air, and I just went, hang on one sec. And I went right back to the bathroom and just booted.
Wait until you hear this this tweet that just came in from Tim Flannery, responding to your tweet last night about the getting picked off and the bad base running lately. We'll get to that in a second. First, this hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Prize Picks. Join the biggest moments in sports with Prize Picks. Pick your players, pick your stats, pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for details. What Flan has to say about all this right after traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Valvoline Instant Drive-Thru Oil Change, your trusted instant drive-thru oil change. Couple things to mention here. Northbound 805 before the 52, crash in the center divide. And watch out for a tire in the right lane on northbound 125, right before Lemon. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So you want your players to be aggressive and go out there with an aggressive mentality. But Tim Flannery says you probably should keep this in mind. He says, I used to coach saying, you guys lift weights all off season, hit in the cages for hours, watch videos of pitchers, all to get on base. The pitcher works out forever watching videos, and 9 guys have gloves to catch the ball to keep you off base. So being on base must be important.
Very important.
So when you are on base, you should treat it like a valuable, precious commodity. And you should do whatever it takes to make sure that you are not erased from those base paths earlier than you have to be, before the third out is recorded. Should either be getting home or let those guys have a chance to drive you in. Now, there are opportunities to move to the next base, and you have to take those at times. But don't be giving up those chances once you get out there.
Well, it's like I said yesterday on the roundtable, man. If a pitcher buries one, ball skirts away from the catcher, you think you get a good jump, and you think you can take that extra bag, and he gets you by an inch. I'm not really mad at that. I'm not. Being picked off, though, is like, I understand wanting to get.
I mean, in stolen bases now, I believe the stat is you need to be successful. What is it, 80 to 90% of the time to make it metrically valuable to steal that base. That extra base is worth it, but only if you are making it between 80 and 90% of the time. If you're getting 7 stolen bases, but you're caught 3 times out of those 10, you are hurting your team more than you're helping your team. You're padding your stolen base stats, but you're hurting your team if you're getting caught that many times.
Yeah, no question. I forgot about this. Somebody just tweeted me, we tied the game. That wasn't good enough for you? I mean, no, because at the end of the day, we didn't win the game, but I that was my point. You know, I wasn't trying to get the skipper all pissy at me, but I do. It really wasn't good enough for me in the 5th inning. I would answer that given the opportunity. And no, it wasn't. It wasn't good enough for me. I like that you reframed it as I do have more faith in what those guys are able to accomplish rather than dropping one down.
Well, you want Jurickson Profar to have more faith. Jurickson Profar has taken great swings all year.
And his next AAB comes up and whack, right into the gap, dude. Like, don't sell yourself short,
and
guys.
Mike Shildt said after the game, he didn't call for that.
I know. Just don't sell yourself short.
But ultimately, I think it's important to remember, this is not the 1970s or the 80s where dictatorial managers have whatever say they want over a team, and it's their way or the highway.
Well, it's also not the 70s and 80s in that you have a pitcher hitting and a very weak 8-hole
Also
and
true.
a very weak 7-hole and a very weak leadoff, but gets on base.
You cannot be a successful manager nowadays without your players pretty much buying in and wanting to play for you.
Correct.
Would you agree with that?
Bro.
Would you also agree
question.
that based on the managers that A.J. Preller has hired, the players like playing for Mike Shildt more than any of the other managers they have had? Andy Green, Jace Tingler, Bob Melvin.
Yep.
Mike Shildt is number one,
Number
and I
one.
don't think it's particularly close so far.
I don't either. And I don't get the sense it's because he just lets them run wild and do what they want. That being said, I watched an interview with Pro the other day, and I think Mariluz asked him about it, and he goes, Mike Shildt. And I asked Crony about it a couple weeks ago. How's Shilty? Fantastic. Phenomenal. Best manager I ever played for. Honestly, like, if that's what's coming out of the room, inherently that's a good thing, and you want that every single time. So, there's people in the fan base that they're always going to point to the manager. It's fine. You know where I stand. It's on the players. It's on the players to win baseball games. The manager needs to push the right button, sure. But once he pushes your button, it's time for you to execute.
I mean, if you have
Daniel De Los Santos, on down the line. If you push my button, I got to get out.
If you have a bunch of yahoos on your team, the manager can't simply just be players' manager. I don't think the Padres are a team filled with a bunch of yahoos. They're baseball players. They're mostly smart and savvy baseball players. The right way to manage, and Mike Shildt said this to us, smart players who know what they're doing, is to give them some freedom to do what they're supposed to do. Brian Dutcher does that at San Diego State with his teams. He says, you know what? We run a very disciplined defense. I let them kind of do what they want on offense. He's not the guy who pulls you for taking a bad shot. He knows it's going to happen every once in a while, and he's okay with that. I think Mike Shildt kind of goes on that same line that, yeah, mistakes will happen every once in a while when you give your team a little bit of freedom.
Sure.
But ultimately, you're going to be better off in the long run when you give your players the freedom to play baseball.
I mean, it's very much
short term. Sometimes this is gonna happen.
It's very much like parenting.
I guess we'll find out at the end of the season. Mike Shildt is right.
Yeah, we'll see
that his team will be better off and will be better at the end of the season for growing through some growing pains right now.
Yeah, for sure. It's very much like parenting. You give them enough rope sometimes and say, "Here, go ahead. Let's see if you can handle this." It's just a series of tests. But if the skipper or a parent or a boss or whatever sees things trending in the wrong direction, that's when you have to step in. And like I asked him, that's when you step in and say, "Hey, we need to put the kibosh on the bunting," or whatever it may be, the running and the extra bags and the leads and secondary leads and whatever. Let's just make sure we're not running outs, guys. I'm going to put the red light on. One of the most surprising things I ever learned in this job was a former manager that told us, and I can't remember who it was, that damn near every single, maybe it was Skip, every person when he was playing with the Cardinals, maybe it was Greg Garcia, every person had a green light. Everyone. Yachty, Pujols, they all had a green light until they didn't. But they all had a green light. And I'm like, you're joking. Oh, no red lights at all until you got one, right? And so some guys got it, some guys don't, but that surprised the hell out of me when he said, oh, no, Albert Pujols could run any pitch, any count, any base, anytime he wanted to go steal a bag, he could, until he couldn't. And I just was blown away, and that's how a lot of these guys run their squads. Makes sense to me.
All right, let's finish the week with hopefully a little bit of a smile. Paulie has been working again, as always, to add to things Ben likes.
I like good, juicy, sweet strawberries.
I like a good marching band. I like a good thin pancake.
I like a Nickelback song or two.
I like a barbecue chicken pizza. I really like those seeds. I like a midnight buffet. I kind of like the smell of soft scrub. I like more of a small derriere. I like cake.
I like Ed Sheeran.
I like both a hamburger and a cheeseburger. I like clocks. I like how I've kind of set up my life. I like grasshopper pie.
Oh, no, I like it creamy.
I like good, firm banana. I like just looking out at the sea. I like eating. I like moist. I like curry.
I like big butts.
I like fried Brussels sprouts. I like more of a firm filling. I like corn.
I like Nordstrom.
I do like musicals.
I like pepperoni. I like nice hotels. I like Nick getting a start today. I like nuts. I like Steph Curry. I like that song.
I like Squirt.
I like Saki. I like San Diego State.
I like Straight Up, Paula Abdul.
I like the beef and broccoli. I like to mix it up. I like Science Experiments. I like that song. I like the crispiness of the waffle. I really like cheese. I like the little lunch meat. I like very straight lines. I like cannelloni. I like a well-crafted headline. I like brown sugar. I like maps. I'll say I like Justin Turner.
I like going to golf games. I like diving into chores.
I like sugar.
I do like Butterfinger. I like blue and silver are not bad colors. I like the time change. I like Major League Baseball's new rule. I like the radio. I like geography. I like the knuckle method. I like Skippy. I mean, I like pie. I like Bob Melvin. I really do. I like Jace Tingler, too. I like this day. I like being right. I still do like movie scores. I like good food. I like maps. Right. I like when interviews can turn into organic conversation.
Oh, me
I
too.
do like a Stouffer's French bread pizza. I like having the wind go through my hair. I think I like shows that the characters have an arc. I like the full lettuce, tomato, onion experience as well. I like those kind of burgers. I like the big overflowing bag of fries. I like those little Smarties rolls. I liked what I saw from Seth Lugo. I liked his competitive fire. I like walking around between the different lands. Steve Kerr, though, I like that. I like living on the coast. I like watching Tiger still. I like the idea of that matchup. I liked what I saw in the preseason. I like the aloneness sometimes of Texas Hold'em. I like watching San Diego State basketball. I like those cashew-buttered cashews. I like cold, clear sake. I like a lot of things. I like Chick-fil-A sauce. I just like rankings. I like Steve Winwood. I like Pie Gal Poker. I like to be informed on subjects. I like Chicago. I like Tom Petty. I like the idea of another left-handed bat in the lineup for sure. I do like a good Matt Damon film. I like being on the same page. I like broccoli. I like Brussels sprouts. I like a lot of things. I like this shirt. I like Wipeout. I liked my omelet. I like San Diego State at home. I like when a baseball player can be more than just a baseball player. I like vanilla. I like the atmosphere. I like the felt on a poker table, just kind of how it feels under your fingers when you're there. I like rhubarb pie. I like the window seat. Changing the subject. I like that. I like just the standard yellow peep. I like how San Diego State's playing right now. I like finer things. I like calling a game. I like fiction more than nonfiction, just like the cream. I actually like playing golf with other people. I've liked everything I've seen so far from Mike Shildt. I like Mexican food. I like just the solar system. I do like steak. I like specifics. I like going to 7 Mile Casino during the day. I like that people are there having a good time. I like my new eating schedule. I liked what I was eating. Yeah, I like the variety of the menu at Sammy's. I do like a good midnight buffet.
That's insane. I've taken road trips shorter than that. Literally. Road trips.
I like the San Diego County Fair. Let's go retro at the San Diego County Fair, opening June 12th. The magic of the Midway. Live concerts and a nostalgic celebration of fashion, culture, and more. Buy your tickets now online. Learn more on what's happening at sdfair.com. That's sdfair.com. All right, you're going to the game tonight. Yep. Padres trying to break their 5-game skid. 3 more against the Diamondbacks. And hopefully, when we come back on Monday, whatever happens, I just want them to win on Sunday so we don't have to play our losing Padres wrap-up yet again.
It's a shame if they lose.
For like the 8th or 9th straight show. Because this was a week that I do not want to duplicate going forward.
Yeah, me neither. That was not fun. Not fun at all. Yeah, see us out at the ballpark, say hello. And happy birthday, our friend Maria in the chat. It's her birthday today. Happy birthday, Maria. Have a great weekend to all of you guys. Love you very much.
All right, that is it for us. Annie and Elston are coming up next. And then Gwen and Chris, and then Padres baseball tonight, 5:40, with your Eco Water SoCal pregame show with Sammy Levitt. For our executive producer and imaging director, Paul Reindl. For Stephen Woods, I'm Ben Higgins. Have a great rest of your Friday and a terrific weekend from all of us here at San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. So long, everybody.